Hey, welcome back, my friends, to the Predictive Playbook. As you can tell, I'm not at Manny's Pub. I'm at Torrey Pines here. That's the first hole behind me. And that action starts tomorrow. Obviously, it's a screenshot because if you look real close, the caddy there is not moving. And the course is not that long that it would look like somebody would not be moving for that long period of time. But I like doing it. But welcome to the show, Rob. We certainly have a lot of news to talk about today. You brought up the great news of the announcement in Major League Baseball yesterday with the substance. And I don't know. I wish they changed the wording of it. Like putting substance on a ball. Baseball makes me think of the movie Major League One in the locker room where Charlie Sheen says, "What's that on your shoulder?" And it's like, Vaseline and stuff. And he flat out says, I don't have an arm like you anymore. I have to put anything I can find on the ball. So I guess we're gonna find out if that was kind of like a visionary from that movie. And explain to me and everybody else like how this is coming down. Like, do they have guys identified that have been caught with the substance, or does it start like today?
Yeah, well, I think they've been checking balls for a while now, John, about 3 weeks. But they're really not going to start enforcing anything until next Monday, June the 21st. Well, they'll continue to check balls. So they have players in mind already that would be subject to random. Well, I won't call it random. There has to be some sort of reason for an umpire to stop the game and take a look at the glove, take a look at the hat. Maybe the other team suggests that the umpire takes a look at something. But if you do get caught, and I haven't really, I've seen that rosin is allowed. Sunscreen is not. I really haven't seen a list of unacceptable things that a pitcher could have on his uniform or on his hat, or I even heard today, there's some pitchers, the webbing of their glove will have extra long laces. They hang a little farther down and they keep it on the end of the laces. So that's the type of intricacy that they'll go to get the stuff out there. But one that was interesting, John, I don't know how you feel about this, but Major League Baseball said that sunscreen will not be allowed. And to me, how you can ask 30 MLB teams to run out there in July and August and play every single day in the sun and the heat. I realize some games are nighttime, but still, 7 o'clock at night is not necessarily sundown. So there's twilight games, there's everything else. I just don't know how they're going to enforce that on these guys. No, you can't wear any sunscreen whatsoever. Just go out there and burn in the field. I would think that the union would have something to say about that. We'll find out. Bottom line is, if you do get caught, it's a 10-game suspension. I believe the ramifications are a little softer first time around because you still get your pay with a 10-game suspension. However,
Well, that's not bad.
if you are suspended, you lose that roster spot. So you go from a 25-man roster down to a 24-man roster. You're unable to replace that spot. So you're a little shorthanded for 10 games, for sure, or 10 days. Then the second infraction gets a little stiffer, third a little stiffer, to where, I think you'd probably be under a year ban or something. But to be dumb enough to get caught once, twice, 3 times, I don't know how teammates are going to be, if they'll be very accepting of that type of thing. We'll see how it all pans out. I mean, the players are going to react. The teammates are going to react the way they react. I think that I've heard people make the great point of teams are not necessarily calling out guys on other teams, even though they know they're doing it. Pitchers on other teams, because they have pitchers on their own roster that are doing it. So, why blow the whistle when it could come right back to your house, sort of thing. But next Monday is a day, and I think that, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, maybe, that you have to do some guesswork here. How many of these guys that have been using the sticky substance to make the ball move are going to use their 1 start this week or 2 starts this week to try and figure out how to do it without? We saw Tyler Glasnow get hurt last night, right? Tore UCL, and blamed it on the smoothness of the baseball, and blamed Major League Baseball basically for not letting him use what he wants to use, which kind of implies to me that he'd been using it all along. If all of a sudden the baseballs are too smooth and the elbow is hurt. That's the kind of stuff we're about to find out.
Well, I guess you probably know this. Major League Baseball, they have brand new balls, but they are rubbed a lot in just plain old dirt and
Right.
anything else that can be legally used, and I believe it's done by the umpiring crew. So those new balls that come into the game should not be the kind that you see at Dick's Sporting Goods that are all nice and shiny and slippery. So it's kind of surprising to hear a guy like that say that. Granted, they claim that they lowered the seams, but I don't know. I took a tour of the Rawlings factory, and I'm sure you have too. And yeah, you're talking about something that Apple should be doing in terms of the millimeters and the preciseness of these laces. But you can't deny the spin rates. I mean, that's technology that tells the truth. It definitely tells the truth.
Yeah, and I think Tony had mentioned to us a pitcher on the Pirate a couple of nights ago, and I'm trying to give me just 1 second here, and I'll tell you exactly who it was. But now that we can check daily spin rates, the pitcher here for Pittsburgh the other night, the starting pitcher was, Brubaker. He had mentioned Brubaker, the rookie for the Pirates.
That was last night, I think.
And his spin rate for his most recent start, which was either yesterday or the day before, was down about 140 RPMs or whatever they call it. I know that there's a difference to spin rate. I've learned a lot about it over the course of the last 2.5 weeks. Believe me, it's not necessarily the overall spin rate that you're looking for. You're looking for what they call active spin, which is what makes the ball move up, down, horizontal, vertical movement. And you can also, there's websites out there where you can check the difference in movement between pitches. But John Brubaker, he didn't pitch badly, but his spin rate did go down. So it just implies that here's a guy that maybe was using this stuff and tried his Monday start to see how's it going to feel if I don't use it.
What's his first name again?
I think it's John Brubaker.
Here's John. There's players that don't have a picture for their faces, so it makes it harder for me to pull them up on the database. And right now I'm looking at Baseball Savant, which is a pretty good one to look at here. It's a great site. I mean, it truly is one of the sites that I don't need to scrape data to build a database. I can integrate it without doing that and annoying the daylights out of them, because when people try to do that, Rob, they can really clog up their pipe for other people that are trying to use it. So if you're one of those guys that is just starting out and you want to create your own database, just reach out to these guys and ask permission. More than likely, they're going to say yes, and they're going to tell you times, or maybe they'll even give you an API to use. But just don't go blindly in there and do it, because you may think you're not bothering them, but I can assure you might get a phone call and say knock it off. So just keep that in mind. But this site is really, really good. Another one is brooksbaseball.net for spin rates, but I'm pulling up John.
Yeah, go with
Brubaker here. It's not him because he's age 51.
Yeah,
so,
go with JT. Go with his initials. JT, I think, is how they refer to him as. And Baseball Savant, actually, John, is the site where I saw his game spin rates, because you can do the game log, and they'll show you the spin rate on his pitches. And it's where I noticed that it was way down. And it's nice to have these resources that are available to us to be able to check things out. Yeah. So shout out to Baseball Savant for all the work that they do. If you're betting these games. And believe me, this is not, I think I said it yesterday, in all my years of handicapping, this is not something that was ever factored into a handicap. I mean, I was never going to websites to look up spin rate. All of a sudden, it's become a rather, important part of your daily handicap here with these guys.
We did work with some of the baseball academies I coached at, but it was to show where they were at and the techniques to use to increase it without putting your arm in harm's way. I mean, I don't know if you can see my hand or not, but if you throw a baseball and your thumb is released at 9 o'clock or lower, the odds of having Tommy John surgery are about 1%. And I'm sure there's a doctor out there that would say that's crazy, but it's not more than 5%. And that's why that spike curve was a pitch that I always wish I had a baseball here to show. That's a pitch where you take a two-seamer grip and you just tuck in this finger and you throw it hard just like you're throwing a two-seam fastball. But because you only have one finger on the seams, it can't possibly go as far. But the batter sees the same arm speed and thinks it's fastball. By the time they realize it's not a fastball, they've already swung over the top of it and look pretty foolish. But again, the release is 9 o'clock. It's not this, where you're turning. It drives me nuts when I see a 10-year-old kid, and it's usually his dad's the coach, and it's in-house, and he strikes out a batter and throwing a curveball, and his thumb is sticking way up at 12 o'clock on the release. And he strikes him out, and the dad's all proud. Hey, way to go, son. Well, that kid's not going to be able to throw even in junior high if he keeps throwing it that way. But his velocity here, his max, his exit velocity is in the 5th percentile, which is pretty decent. Hard hit is not good, though. XBA is average. He generally throws that at fastball at 93. Huh. What we'll start doing is I'll take screenshots of these. I'll get permission from, I'm sure they'll let me do screenshots and show everybody. But you're right. The spin rates are definitely down close to 10%. And we're not trying to call this guy out because we don't know, but
no, we don't. We're only studying the numbers here because we're all curious now. Are we betting on a pitcher that was doing something to make his numbers look really good, and now we're betting on a guy who's doing something totally different, and his numbers aren't going to be real good? You're not going to cash a lot of tickets that way. And like we said yesterday, it's very, very hard to get into the mindset of each individual pitcher. And will they push the envelope and continue to do it, or will they back off now that Major League Baseball has mandated next Monday as the date where we're going to start checking you? I venture to think 90% of the guys will back off now and see if they can go the other route. And that's why this week's going to be important, John. I had sent a note over to you earlier today where last night 15 Major League Baseball games played, and all of a sudden 9 of those 60% are overs. We've seen an increase in league batting average, all teams concerned. It was up, I think, 10 points from 236 to 246 between last week and the start of play yesterday. And again, yesterday we saw, like I say, 9 overs, 6 unders. We saw, I think, 6 games that scored 11 runs or more. So that's a pretty good increase. And again, we talked about this yesterday, but we'll reiterate that summer weather obviously produces more offense and more runs every year. That's a constant. That's been going on forever. You play in the humidity. I never quite understood that either because I'm not a scientist, but one year I had to go read why humidity increases the flight of the ball distance-wise. And sure enough, it does. To me, I was thinking, humidity means heavier air. It's going to knock it down. Not the case. But summertime will bring more runs. And now if the pitchers are not able to make the ball move as much as it's been moving and these hitters get a better look at it, that's going to help too. Of course, we talked about the seams and everything else. Could be a whole combination of things that lead us to higher scoring games. Our whole objective here, we're always betting against numbers. We're not betting theories and philosophies. We use them in the handicap, but you can't make money just by betting that purely. You have to bet against a number. And if the odds maker is going to increase these totals from, a baseline of 8 to a baseline of 9, then we're on equal playing ground again. But if he's going to leave that baseline at 8 for the next couple of weeks, then I think you're going to see an awful lot of people in our industry in particular that are going to play some more overs, especially in good weather games. Why not?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the real deep stuff here. And there is definitely reason to believe that the spin rate just doesn't decline this rapidly when it went up rapidly from 2020 to 2021. For example, his changeup in 2021 now is breaking 16.4 inches of horizontal movement. So he's right-handed. So in a right-handed batter, that's going to tail in and down pretty nasty to a right-handed batter. And I have never seen him pitch, but I can imagine what it looks like. In 2020, that same pitch was moving 4 inches less.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it was actually an average changeup. Now it's, 2.2 inches more than the average major leaguer. So what's different? I hate saying it like that because I don't want to be accusatory in the least, but there's a smoking gun laying around.
Yeah, and you're right, John. I mean, obviously these guys work on their craft and they develop new pitches and they work harder on their pitches in the off season. And JT Brubaker's a young guy. However, some of the stuff we see on a nightly basis, watching baseball, I mean, sitting with my son and watching the movement on these pitches, that goes from what we used to call, wow, this guy's nasty. This goes to, I mean, you hear it a lot at night from these announcers where it looks like wiffle ball break.
Yeah, it's a frisbee.
Where it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. I told this once before last week, but I'm sitting with my son, and I forget who it was. Pitching a right-handed pitcher thrown to a left-handed batter, in on the fist with a fastball, breaks the way Greg Maddox's ball used to break last minute over the plate, but I mean with a more severe break across the plate where you have no chance as the hitter, and it's 98 miles an hour, and they called that a fastball. And my son looks at me and he goes, well, isn't that a screwball the way it broke? And I said, yeah, it is technically a screwball with the movement, but you don't throw a screwball 98 miles an hour. So in essence, it is a four-seamer with screwball effect, and I've been watching baseball a lot of years, John. I don't remember guys that can throw that pitch 98 miles an hour. Greg Maddux threw it softly in the mid-'80s, and it was extremely effective then. Imagine how effective these guys like Blake Trinan for the Dodgers are right now. The movement is so crazy in the case of that one particular pitcher, Blake Trinan, that his go-to pitch when he wants a K is the slider. And they fear at this point having him throw the slider with a guy on third because it breaks so much it's too tough for the catcher to handle anymore. It goes to the backstop, and you're giving up runs because your slider has break it never used to have. So, just some examples.
Yeah, and in golf too. Welcome to the show, Nick. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, wait a minute, Nick.
Putting on. We golfers talk about spin rate too, don't we?
We almost had Vegas last weekend, Rob. He finished second, man. 75-1. We almost had him.
Yeah, damn. Well, we get him this time around. Somebody had 54-1.
Yeah, Koken had Higo, and Buster did too, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little score right there, boy.
Absolutely.
Don't have to win too many if you're going to hit 54-1s.
That's the thing. Outright bets, you can hit one every, 8, 9, 10 tournaments, depending on, if you usually spread it out over like 3 or 4 guys. So you can go 10 tournaments without a win and still be okay.
Absolutely.
We were talking about spin rates in baseball, Nick, and I didn't get a chance to tell Rob yet, but spin rates, we study them quite a bit. Almost too much, I think, with the TrackMan. Golf has a TrackMan, Rob. It just you see it in the tournament. You'll see it this weekend. It tells you the launch angle, and launch angle. When it's spoken about golf, I appreciate, but when it's talked about in baseball, I abhor it. It's just not, And you know what, Houston? I've studied the Houston batters, and they are definitely swinging back more, George Bredish, Charlie Lowish, without the release. It's more level, and look at what they're doing. So I think it's just a matter of time until we get rid of this ridiculous launch angle. I can't stand watching a pro batting 205 when he could be batting 285.
No doubt. Tony alerted us to Houston early on, and then I think those of us WagerTalk Sports Memo, we do so many shows, I get them crossed up a little bit, but I think it was on this show where we talked about I had mentioned Carlos Correa taking advice from the batting coach in Houston to change his approach and all of a sudden his batting average has gone through the roof, and he's in a contract year, and that's a big deal. Like I said that day, Houston, the coaching staff probably happy that they got him right, and the front office probably somewhat disappointed because they're going to have to write a bigger check with that statistical line at the end of the year. So
that's okay. That puts more fans in the stands. That's the.
If it gets you to the World Series,
and you get more people buying his shirt because he's batting 330 instead of 205.
There's ways to recoup.
I learned the word eclecticize in baseball because that's what a lot of these guys have done. It's true. Like they take a little bit from each coach along the way in their journey, and they add it. And some coaches you always play for some time in your career. There's a coach you just don't like, but you respect them, you listen to them, and you take a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's what molds these guys into the hitters they are. So I was glad to hear that because that is rather unique. That the player would go to the guy and say, help me.
Yeah, it's a superstar taking advice, right? I mean, I've known guys around the game a lot, and hitting coaches especially, they're not going to go up to players. They just don't approach them because it's got to be brought to their attention, or their advice has to be sought in order for them to stick their 2 cents in. Otherwise, they're going to let these guys go about their business and not try to change them too much, which is really – it tells you, John, that the launch angle theory that so many of these teams participate in now with their hitters, it was an organizational decisions all across MLB and started at lower levels, right? Because you're not going to go up to these major league hitters that are making X amount of dollars and tell them, hey, dude, you need to change your swing. They're going to tell you to go get lost in a more maybe not that subtle a way.
I can't make this sound funny the way I like to make things funny, but we're talking about putting substances on baseballs, Nick. And I'm going to tell Rob, when I'm going to meet him sometime soon this summer, and we're going to go to a driving range since he's never played.
Oh, definitely.
Because I want him to play at your course, but we can't have him show up not with any experience.
Yeah, I won't let him in. I won't let him anywhere near it until he gets ready.
Yeah, you'd have to ride along the cart with me and just drink, I guess. But in golf, Rob, how the ball will curve to the right like a slice, or it'll hook, and you'll see the players looking right or left, and that's spin. And a golf ball will spin at like 12,000 RPMs with like a wedge, and a driver will spin maybe 2,500 to 3,000. Mm-hmm. But there is a secret. If you want to hit the ball straight, you just can't let anybody see you doing it. You take a little Vaseline, put it on the face of the driver. Am I right, Nick? And whatever that angle is on the face of the club, it's going to go that direction perfectly straight.
True.
I've never done it because I'm a Patriots fan. We play by the rules, and I just can't lower myself to do that. But
yeah.
I have tried it at the driving range, though. It's like, you just take chapstick and rub it on the face of the club, and it actually works. It doesn't go as far.
No.
But at least, golf is a bunch of honest people. We don't have problems like that. I mean, we have a guy that gave up $1.6 million admitting that he tested positive for COVID, for goodness sake. These guys aren't going to put substances on the ball.
It is a game of honor, that's for sure.
It's the only sport, Rob, that you can call a penalty on yourself. Can you imagine that in the NFL?
No.
Hey, wait a minute. I held the guy. I interfered with him. He had no chance of catching the pass. I apologize. Inflict the amount of penalty on my team that is necessary.
And
that'd be great.
Well, it would in the NBA too, John. I think it would be.
I know.
In the NBA.
I'm sorry, LeBron, that it looks like you broke your leg or you broke your jaw, but according to the TV replay, I didn't touch you, so I'm really not apologizing. But anyway, yeah, we had that to look forward to. But
no blood,
I'm just
no
like,
foul.
What's that, Nick?
No blood, no foul. The old.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Rob and I are Philly guys. It was no autopsy, no foul. That's how the I guess that was more up in New York. That was the saying. And when you play street ball, you don't want to say, hey, you hacked me, because that's not cool. You got to say you hacked him. That's proper protocol for the younger people in our audience. But Nick, you can tell I'm getting, I have blank lineups in my DraftKings. I reserved them, and I'm going to be working on them tonight. You and I had a great show this morning. I encourage everybody to review that because that details everything. And I do want you to take a minute now and detail how you're packaged. Like people go to WagerTalk, they buy a pick from Rob and myself, and my $2 one, by the way, supposedly
nice.
it's like
Very nice.
I didn't know it was a curse. I never knew it was a curse. I saw that Finn was the honoree, but I didn't realize that this was like going to the electric chair. But I was lucky. I had the over in the Brooklyn game, and then we did a little case study for the people who bought it, so I wouldn't give away the play because I like to do the in-game. And fortunately, that in-game strategy for the people that knew that it was the over couldn't have worked better because it started out very slow, and then it picked up again. And by that time, they got the two pieces at Rob. I can't remember the price: 207.5 and 213.5 and 217.5 were the three legs. And luckily, we got the 222.
Right.
But what we really want to talk about now is Torrey Pines and Phil Mickelson, because I saw on social media that Rob wished him good luck personally and said, don't sweat it. I put 2,500 on you to win, so better not let me down,
Right.
jerk, in so many words. But somebody did put 2,100 down on him, I read, right after the PGA. And 2,100, it's not much for like a football game. But 2,100, I suspect alcohol was involved because the 100 doesn't make any sense. And I think he was just cleaning out his account and just saying, I'm going for it. But he got 85-1 odds. So be interesting to see if he wins what his next bet will be.
Yeah, he's down to 50-1 or 55-1 or something. So
yeah,
a good number on him.
And William Hill, which is Tony Finn's favorite place to go bet, I think. Isn't that right, Rob, what we learned yesterday?
He was not happy with William Hill yesterday. Not happy at all.
I heard that they actually have a 7-figure liability involving Phil.
I believe it.
So as much as they want the money coming in on Phil, now it's getting to the point where, I'm not even sure how you would hedge that. Do you know how they would hedge that, Nick? I have no clue. It's not like you can take an anti-Phil bet.
No, I don't know how
they're stuck with it.
In tournament, perhaps, as the round goes on, and if he actually is near the top leaderboard after Friday or especially Saturday, then maybe you could single in on one or two other guys.
Yeah.
But before that, there's not much of a chance. Matchup's not going to do it for you, so I don't know.
I like BetMGM because they will, like I've offered them bets that are not your normal bets that you would see on the site, but most of the time they say no, we're not interested. Sometimes they come back and they offer it.
Okay.
And it's not crazy pricing, with huge VIGs and wide gaps. And then what I also like about BetMGM is that it's kind of funny because I know I have a winner when they come back and the bet's unlocked and they show me how much they're willing to pay me now. So then I'm like, well, why would I cash it now when you're offering me that? And I know your offer is low. But especially in the PGA, when you have like say you get a one of the guys you liked, who was 65-1 to win the Fitzpatrick, right? So let's say we bet Fitzpatrick for $50, and he's leading the first round. You're going to see BetMGM come after you and say, you know what, you're doing pretty good here. How about taking this winning?
Yep.
And then you don't have to worry about losing it.
It's true.
And then I don't know of any of the other places that do that.
DraftKings does offer the buyouts, and they do offer that with those, especially with these outright plays when they have a big number like that. I've taken them in the past. A lot of times I don't. I want to see another round, and then I miss my opportunity. I'm like, shit, I should have took it.
Yeah, that happens. It's
but yeah, DraftKings does do it.
Yeah, and that's a fun way to do it for sure, because then you can actually get out, especially if you play these long shots. They have a good first round. You're gonna get a pretty good offer.
Yeah, correct.
So let's hear what you have to say here now this afternoon. I know there was at least 5 guys on your radar, and several of them were in that 7,000 to 8,000 range. So the people are listening on DraftKings and wanting to figure out how they're going to do their lineup. This is the time to listen.
Yeah, we talked about a couple guys this morning. For those that didn't listen, you already hit it. Fitzpatrick was definitely a guy, Matthew Fitzpatrick, that I'm high on. He's just very accurate. He's 8th on tour in strokes gained off the tee and number 14 in driving accuracy. He's also a fantastic putter. He ranks 14th in strokes gained putting this season. He finished with another top 10 last week. He shot 66 on Sunday. And one angle I've had some success with, John, is guys that finish a tournament well on Sunday and are playing that following week. He can carry over that momentum a lot into the next tournament. So he ended well. Maybe he picks picks up right where he left off on Thursday. On the year, he has 9 top 25 finishes in 16 starts, 5 top 10s. Still searching for his first PGA Tour win, but he does have 6 international wins. So he has proven he can win. Normally, he's in the 20 to 30 to 1 range, so he's double that this week. 65 to 1 just seems like a steal, and I definitely have money on Fitzpatrick this weekend. I don't have the DraftKings lineup in front of me. I believe we mentioned this morning he's in the 7,800 range for DraftKings, which for a guy that I have very high faith on making the cut, I think that's a great price because, again, what do you got to do in those daily fantasies? You got to make the cut for your 6 guys. I think he's a really good price this week.
Yes, sir. I'm actually going to pull up my models because I imported the pricing. We can look at a lot of different things while we're going through these names. Another name that was on your list was, I believe, Jason Kokrak. Is that right?
Kokrak, he's just been great. His last start he won, of course, which is his first win happened back in October, and now that was his first PGA Tour win. At the time, he was like I think he had the most starts on the PGA Tour without a win. Broke that, obviously, and then has won again this year. And he's just been very steady all year with several other top 10 finishes. I think he has I'm just going off my head here. He's got a top 10 at the Players back in March. Obviously, very tough course, which the U.S. Open will be very tough, no doubt. In deep field, he also had another. I'm trying to think. He hasn't missed a cut. I know that in 2021. So it's 13 straight events without missing a cut, and he's got 3 other top 10 finishes. So he's just been solid. He's a great driver of the golf ball. He hits it a mile, keeps it straight, and if he's in the fairways off the tee, he's going to have a shorter club along the way. So I do like Kokrak. There's actually a couple matchups you can get with Kokrak that I think is pretty good. One's over Sam Burns that I do like. That's how I'm playing him this week. I do have a top 10 play on Kokrak also. I think he's pretty good value. Yeah,
I like that play myself. And Webb Simpson. After we had our show, I went and did a little homework, and I like him even more now. And that's guys, that's what the show's about. Somebody like Nick says something, you got to tail it. You got to do your own research, and then you'll find out you agree with it, and sometimes you agree even more. And in my case, Webb Simpson wasn't even on my radar, but I assure you he will be in my DraftKings lineups across the board. He's 8,700. His shots gained off the tee is quite good. Shots gained tee to green, he's gaining 3.31, which is certainly above the average of this field. Shots gained approach 1.59. Shots gained around the green, which is going to be a pretty key number, I think, this week. 1.17, and then shots gained total, a whopping 5.441. So, I mean, that's... You have to wonder why he's 8,700 and not 9,700. But anything else you want to add in on him? He's a grinder, too, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he's a guy... Yeah. He hasn't been on a lot of people's radars just because he's quiet. Like he's a quiet name. You don't hear a lot about him. He doesn't flash. He doesn't get in the media. He doesn't get a lot of attention. But he's on the leaderboard and he's near the top of the leaderboard a lot. He's missed one cut in 14 events this year. He's got 9 top 25 finishes in 14 events. Think about that. That's 9 top 25s in 14 events. That's very, very solid. So he's always going to be there with a chance on the weekend. And again, DraftKings, he's perfect to get to the weekend. He's a past U.S. Open winner, so it proves he has the recipe to win here. 8th in driving accuracy, 13th in greens and regulation. My favorite stat on him, he's number 1 on tour in bogey avoidance. Which means he doesn't make bogeys. And I mean, at a U.S. Open, it's all about the guy that's going to par. You can't make 3 or 4 bogeys in a short stretch and come back from it like you can in some of these other tournaments where all of a sudden you can make 6, 7, 8 birdies in a round. It just doesn't happen here. So if you can avoid bogeys, hit in the middle and the fat part of the greens and just make your pars and get yourself around the course, then even par, 1 over, 1 under, you're going to be near the top of the leaderboard come the end of the weekend. He's proven he can do it. His last 4 majors, or the 4 majors this year, his worst finish was the last one, which was only a tie for 30th at the PGA. He was tied for 12th at the Masters, tied for 10th at the November Masters, and then tied for 8th last September at the U.S. Open. And his numbers, like all his stats numbers that you just spewed out, John, I mean, they're up there with the guys that are in the 20-1 range, yet he's at 55-1 right now. He also, I don't know if it's true this week, as of 2 weeks ago, so I'm assuming it's still accurate, he leads the tour in par 4 scoring. And at a U.S. Open, par 4s are always very, very difficult. They're always very long, and a guy that can, hang there. And this is par 71. They convert during the Farmers. It's a par 72. They convert one of the par 5s to a 520-yard par 4. So it's one more par 4 on the scorecard for 72 holes or for the 4 rounds. So I like those numbers for guys that can play the par 4 as well, because that's where you're going to win or lose this tournament. Everybody's going to make some birdies on the par 5s, but if you can hang tight on those par 4s, it's good. So a lot of numbers I like on Webb. 55-1. I figured he'd be 30-1, 35-1 maybe. I love 55-1.
Yeah, it's good. And there's a guy that we didn't talk about this morning. I'm looking at shots gained off the tee, and the first thing I'll say is Jordan Spieth, among the guys that are expensive, is the only one that loses shots off the tee, which is not going to work at Torrey Pines because of the rough, and the Kikuyu grass is just a nightmare. If you like golf a lot, you have to play at least one course in your life that has that kind of rough. And I assure you that I've played it at Sawgrass when they did have it, and it was probably barely 2.5 inches. It was barely rough at all. And the ball sinks right down to the bottom of the base of the ground, and it turns the club like you can't even believe. Most of the time you have no idea where it's going. I mean, it's either going to shoot right or shoot left, or if you're incredibly lucky, it'll go straight where you want it to go. But errant tee shots, and he's not that long to begin with. But this other guy is leading the field coming into the event, and he's ahead of Bryson, who's second. And his name is Taylor Pendrith.
Yeah.
Is he that European that just hits it like an unbelievable country mile? I mean, he's longer than DeChambeau, I guess. Is that him?
You might be thinking of the guy from last week. I can't pronounce his name. Neenan Biner.
Oh, that's yep.
Neener Wiener.
Yep.
That's your right. Pendrith is a young kid just coming out of college. That's going to be kind of like a Morikawa Hovland guy that's going to be expected to do very well when he comes on. But he hasn't really had a lot of opportunities on the professional circuit yet. So, but you're thinking of the Neener Wiener.
Yeah, and I think his first name is Wilco. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. He's 6,900 too. But this Taylor Pendrith has great stats across the board until you get the shots gained on approach, where he's losing 1.5. So there must be something wrong with the long irons, and that too is not going to work at Torrey Pines. So,
correct.
I think you mentioned Abraham Answer too as a top 20, was it, or matchup?
I did. I got Abraham Answer in a matchup actually over Cam Smith. Answer, I mean, listen, you could take him in the top 10 or top 20 markets too. I don't have the price on him handy, but matchup play, he's minus 105 right now over Cameron Smith. I mean, he's been rock solid. He's missed 2 cuts in 20 starts this year. Has 14 top 25 finishes, which is incredible, and 5 top 10s. He's currently on a run of 5 straight top 20s, including tied for 8th at the PGA and a runner-up at the Wells Fargo Championship. And he's accurate just like the other guys I mentioned. He's 3rd in driving accuracy, and 12th in greens in regulation. And not only is it a good reason to take him, I'm also looking at this matchup because I have a reason that I want to fade Cam Smith, and it's just kind of he's fallen off. I was high on him earlier this year. He was on a heater, and he's kind of fallen off. He finished tied for 59th at the PGA, missed the cut in his last start at the Memorial, and he's not accurate. He ranks 128th in driving accuracy and 103rd in green and regulation. So over 72 holes, or maybe it's only 36 if Smith misses the cut. I just feel like Answer is going to be in the short grass a lot more often than Smith, and I'm going to bet that every time at the U.S. Open.
Makes sense to me. Anybody else on the list you want to mention?
Sure. I'll throw one other matchup out there that I like. Because listen, matchups outrights are fun. They're the ones you brag about to your buddies for years to come. But they're hard to win, and you're going to go if you're only going to play one tournament or two tournaments here and there. You want to focus on your matchups. If you're going to play outright plays every single week, you can grind out some money because, as we were talking before the show, you can go 6, 7, 10 weeks without a winner, but still end up profitable at the end of the year by winning 5 tournaments. So be careful with the outrights. Another matchup I like, Brendan Todd. He's minus 120 over Kevin Kisner. And let me just put this out there. I'm not really high on Brendan Todd. It's not so much a play on him as it is a fade of Kevin Kisner. To me, he's just a must fade right now. A lot of people were high on him last week at the Palmetto Championship, which of course he's a member at. It's in his native South Carolina. Everybody expected him to do well, and what did he do? He missed the cut again, which is now 6 missed cuts in his last 7 starts.
Oof.
And I just don't care what number. You can look at all the stats for the year and try to find a number that says, oh, but he can do this well, which I did find one. He's 11th in driving accuracy, but I don't care. He's clearly in terrible form overall with his game, and I'm assuming I can just bet right now his confidence is clearly in the dumps. Todd, on the other hand, I don't expect him to come out here and win, but he's been consistent. He's only got 4 missed cuts in 21 starts this year. He ranks number 1 on tour in driving accuracy and is a pretty damn good putter. So if he can put together a decent iron week, not only is he going to beat Kisner, but he may be in contention on the weekend. But I just really like him beating Kisner. I think Kisner is going to be a trunk slammer after Friday.
You think Adam Scott will make some noise? Seems like he's, shot gain to approach is pretty good. His, off the tee is kind of mediocre, but it's not horrible like Jordan Spieth. And he seems to be putting better. His shots gained putting is over 1, which isn't bad. Just a round score, 69.3, which is pretty impressive. And $7,400 in DraftKings. If he was 8,400, I'd probably like him better. The 7,400, it's kind of like, okay, what don't I know that's making him 7,400? But if anybody would know, it'd be you, Nick.
Listen, I actually like that price on him for a daily fantasy lineup. I mean, he's 12 cuts made in 13 events this year. I think he's where he is because kind of like Webb Simpson was talking about before, he never wows you. He's never really in contention. But, I mean, if you look at his results this year, he finished 54th at the Masters, okay, but he finished tied for 16th at the Memorial, 13th at the Honda, 10th at the Farmers Insurance Open, Torrey Pines. He's got a good record here in his history, and he's making cuts. That's the key. I did just glance at his prices on the leaderboard or outright market, and even in a matchup. And I really just avoided him this week as far as that goes. But I like him in a DraftKings lineup because I think he'll make the cut. He just does. He just finds a way to make the cut. But I've had a hard read on him betting this year just because he doesn't play a lot. He's like once a month sometimes. In April he played once. In May he played once. In March he played twice. So he just doesn't tee it up enough for me to get a true read on where he is. But he still makes the cut. He still is there for 4 days, so that's about my what I can give on him.
If I had the time, I would just keep talking with you till probably 10 o'clock tonight. So it's good I don't have your cell phone number because I'd be texting you saying, "What about this one, Nick? What about this one?"
Listen, hey, over 18 holes, we'll have plenty to talk about, John. No problem.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. So one last time, tell everybody about your package, what's included. And, guys, you should get it because you get so much more than what you get from guys like Tony Mejia, myself, and Rob Vino. And that's not a slight. It's because we do NBA, you might get one play, you might get three, but in golf, there's so many different ways to bet. You bet to win, top 10, top 20, matches, miss the cut, make the cut, and there's just a lot of different angles to exploit. So I'll let Nick take over and explain more about that.
Yeah, appreciate it. So the U.S. Open pack's on my page right now. It's $49, but you can get it for half off. Use promo code OPEN21, and you can get that for less than $25. It's got right now. I have 5 matchups loaded for tournament matchups. I have a 5% top play going on a leaderboard selection, which I've won the last 3 of those. Somebody I think is going to be there come Sunday, and all he's got to do is finish top 20. It's also got outright winners, so I'll take 2 or 3% a normal wager size and split it up between 4 or 5 guys on who could win outright. And then first round leader selections. The Thursday tends to be very predictable as far as guys that play well a lot in the end, the beginning of the week, but don't necessarily get there come the end of the week. So that's included as well, and a couple other leaderboard selections. And I will definitely have daily matchups added for each of the 4 days. So not only do you have that action all 4 days, you'll have individual day action as well. So $25, 4 days, lots of golf going on. It'll definitely keep your interest for the U.S. Open. It's just a good tournament to watch too.
No, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be absolutely incredible, Rob Vino. And I can see that he is scribbling down all these picks and the yardage. And
Here they are.
Love you, Rob.
The one I really, you sell me on all of them, but this Brendan Todd
Yes.
over this garbage man Kinzer, I'm going to have to get right in on that. Now, I had to spell this guy's name in 2 words that I could understand. I spelled out Coke Rack because I don't know how to spell it.
Coke Rack.
I don't know how to spell it, though.
3K. K-O-K-R-A-K.
Oh,
I had him to win 3 weeks ago when he won, right?
Yes.
He won 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I got lucky.
Yep.
Webb Simpson, 55-1. Nice little investment there. And Abraham Answer over Cameron Smith head-to-head.
Yeah, I really like the matchups, Rob. And, the outrights, of course, we're going to go a couple weeks without winning one. But hopefully one of these gets through for us sooner rather than later. But, yeah, focus on those matchups. I love both of those. And Kisner, I don't think he's not going to make it past Friday. Easy cash, early cash.
I'm behind you, buddy. Win, lose,
Rob,
or draw. We're gonna.
Rob, you want to hear one of my best bets?
Yeah, if it's as good as Nick's, yeah, of course I do.
Morikawa over Spieth, and Spieth will not make the weekend. And if he doesn't make the weekend, you can actually bet that and get plus 300. 3-1 that he doesn't make the cut. And he has not played well at Torrey Pines, as Nick will attest. He's out of the state of Texas. And he's the only guy he's listed of the 157 guys in the field. He ranks 135th in shots lost off the tee.
Sounds like me.
So, believe me, you don't want to be spraying the ball over the place at Torrey Pines.
No.
That's not good.
Hey, Nick, I'm wrapping up my loyalty play, which is a freebie for me. Burger or Zalatoris?
Zalatoris.
All right, perfect. Thank you, sir.
There you go.
See, this is awesome. I love it, man.
Everybody here. Nick.
I'll enter a free contest. I like the U.S. Open. I actually like the fantasy things. Is you don't really have to track them, and then if all your guys make the cut, I've done that.
You're cashing.
Even though I don't know anything about it.
and lastly, Tony, we were talking about Phil Mickelson before you came on. He lives in the San Diego area. He grew up playing that course as a teenager, I guess, right, Nick? That was his home course.
Yeah, he did. He played a lot. Yep.
So I think it's William Hill, which we kidded around that is Tony Finn's favorite place to bet, which is, I'm saying that sarcastically, has a 7-figure liability on Mickelson if he wins. So, anything's possible in golf. It's not likely that I think it'd be great if he made the cut and would be close to the first page of the leaderboard. I think that would be awesome because the ratings would go up through the roof again.
Oh, yeah.
But we always, guys like Nick and me always go back to Winged Foot, and I've seen where that happened, and the trees grew a little bit since the time he was in those trees, but why he tried to go through 72 rather large trees and not just pitch it out, I don't know, but he's going to be the crowd favorite, no doubt. Mm-hmm. He actually has more money bet on him than anyone else in the field at William Hill, is what I was told. But
I wonder how much
anyway.
it is.
Yeah.
That was the rumor last time. The biggest bet placed on him was him.
Yeah, it might be him again.
Well, self-confidence.
That's it.
So, Nick, you're welcome to stay on here, and then just if you have to go at some point, just go. We're going to transition over to NBA here because there is a ton of news that slapped me across the face this morning, with starting with Leonard, and I was badgering both Rob Vino and Tony Mejia because they talked to the beat writers, especially Tony Mejia because he was a CBS national beat writer. And I figured if anybody knew about Leonard and this ACL injury, it would be him. And apparently he might not be even able to play Game 6 from what I'm hearing now. And that's all speculation, so I want to go right to the horse's mouth. And I say that plural because we'll talk to Tony first about that situation, and we'll move over to Rob Vino and see what he thinks.
All right, well, we got to go rapid fire because I've got about 15 minutes, and that's stretching. Look, I trust Sham Charania's information. He's done a tremendous job, but the report does seem speculative because it's basically a secondhand source. The Clippers fear that it might be an ACL. If it is, Clippers are done. And if they can get through a Game 6 at home without him, maybe we'll see him in a Game 7. If it's something he can play through. If he can't, nobody's more meticulous about their body than Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that's essentially what led to his departure from San Antonio. The fact that he exited the final 4 minutes of that game, which was still up for grabs. I mean, they were up 14 or so, but the Jazz had cut it a 29-point deficit by 15. That's a bad sign. And then no news yesterday after he told the sideline reporter that he was going to be fine. I said on the NBA show, if you would have been smart, and me included because I didn't do it, you would have taken the Jazz laying the 2.5 last night instead of the news this morning, because we had, obviously, like you mentioned, a million tidbits today, from Donnie Nelson most recently to the coaching firings to the Chris Paul news. The Kawhi Leonard thing was the least surprising.
And let's just stick with you because your time is limited, and then we'll let you go, and then we can get Rob involved with these topics too. So what is the news with Chris Paul? Because what I read seemed like, okay, well, I understand what you're saying, but is this really happening?
I mean, I guess he's in COVID protocols, but he's vaccinated. So, I think it was Damian Lee of the Warriors had the same thing happen to him, and I don't think we ever saw him in the play-in round, which was unfortunate because they could have used him. And so it becomes something where it's not the 10-day mandatory thing because he's been vaccinated, but he'll have to pass a series of tests. And if you're the Phoenix Suns, you're counting on the Clippers and Jazz going 7. And that gives you the best chance for him not to miss time. And then, it's looking doubtful for him to miss Game 1 if the series ends in 6.
Yeah, and the Suns just are sitting home resting.
But with their fingers crossed because they don't want to,
Yeah.
At this point, the way the things broke today, even with Mike Conley Jr. out, it's Utah Jazz Day, because if they're able to handle business with Kawhi Leonard out the next 2 games, they'll host Game 1 that potentially doesn't include Chris Paul and might include Conley.
And then yesterday you were on the show too, and you heard me say about the situation with Kevin Durant when he's not playing with his his superheroes on all of his teams, Golden State included, and OKC. Now with the Nets, he's 5-1 against the spread when not playing with the other 2. And what a Herculean effort last night.
Harden played last night, but yeah, he wasn't there.
But he was like a decoy.
Yeah,
You know, in the beginning, it was, I think he was like a decoy. I don't know if that was intentional, but you could see.
No, he was out there just to be a threat and a ball handler, and then once it became clear that he didn't have anything, and it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow because, how's that improve with a flight and 46 minutes in the books. So, but he's going to be out there. They said he'll play, but yeah, I mean, I saw that the initial line for Milwaukee tomorrow was 3.5, and it got bet up to almost 6, which doesn't surprise me.
And that's reflecting doesn't matter whether Harden plays or not. He's not anywhere close to 100%.
Right. And the Bucks are a very good home team, and they should be embarrassed.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll put out the I meant to run the query on triple doubles, which I can run pretty quick. Yeah, how teams do after a player gets a triple double. Because some people think, well, the player's not going to do that again, so the team will regress. But a lot of times, because the rest of those members that that were part of that triple double, especially a big one like KD with 49. That's historic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's never been done.
Right.
And I think actually the results I'll find is that the team responds well after a KD triple-double, just like the team responded well and he responded well when he doesn't have his superstars with him. But it's interesting that Harden and Kyrie, when they don't have their superstars, it's not good. It's not good at all.
I mean, a healthy Harden, he's done it by himself, not quite at this level. But yeah, I mean, look, it took everything that Kevin Durant had, including 7 of 8 3-point shooting from Jeff Green and Blake Griffin waking up some in the second half to overcome everybody else really not bringing it, including Joe Harris, who really disappointed me. And now you have to worry about Harris because he hasn't done anything in Milwaukee. Yeah, I mean, like I'm leaning Bucks, but I wrote last night. I don't know how you trust Milwaukee, and it's the Ben Simmons syndrome, where late in games, Giannis doesn't seem like he's as self-assured as he should be because he knows he's going to be fouled. It's almost like kryptonite, and that was the case with him dropping that ball yesterday. It was a nice pass. Budenholzer is going to pay with his job because he's not doing the things that he's supposed to do as a bona fide superstar. Because I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a 2-time MVP. He's just imposes his will when he can, and did so last night. But it's that fourth quarter doubt that really hindered them last night.
Do you think blowing the 17-point second quarter lead is going to have any psychological effect on Milwaukee?
It could.
When they
were up 17 as late as 7 minutes left in the third. So, and it was shot making by the Nets and stupidity by the Bucks. And I mean, like the inside the NBA crew have a lot of off nights. Last night wasn't one of them. They were on point with a bunch of info halftime and after the game because they called it. They said Bucks should be up 25 easy, and they weren't. They let Durant hang around. Absolutely.
Yeah, Durant looked good. I was happy for him because he's another guy that's taking so much crap in the media sometimes, and maybe it's warranted, maybe it's not. I just don't like it. But I like it when the player responds, with a historic game like that. That was pretty good. And now, lastly, the Sixers series here is really hinging on a knee, and it's Embiid's knee. And what I thought, I was looking at some of these metrics that you guys like, fast break points scored. Before the series started, thought that would be in Atlanta's favor. Points in the paint certainly should have been in the favor of the Sixers, but last night it was not. And I was studying one film thing, and it looked like Atlanta had changed their defense up significantly, and that's why Embiid was taking those jump shots at the beginning of the game. That the post was not available. And that's why he was shooting the shots. I don't know if that's right or not, but the key tonight is Embiid going to be good to go?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. There, it's going to come down to how he feels. I think he'll play. Is he going to be Joel Embiid? Is going to come down to how he feels pregame And he looked pretty good to start the game, and then went back to the locker room, I think, second quarter in game 4. So it's unreal that it hinges on them. But my point was, you got another number 1 pick that really needs to pick it up, because Tobias Harris is doing his part. Seth Curry's doing his part. You got Dwight Howard coming in off the bench, being serviceable, and that's downplaying it. He's been downright really effective. So they can win this game if Embiid is at 80%. They obviously can't win if he's 0 for 12, or if Seth Curry has a poor shooting night, or if Tobias Harris doesn't get off early. I mean, it's a game that Atlanta can steal. And I made this point on the NBA show. Philadelphia's crowd actually works against them tonight, because if things are fingernail biting time, that psyche of the city, you know how that works.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Unless Shake Milton bails you out with another, buzzer beater 3, it becomes hairy down the stretch. So, but at the same time, I will say this: I am not touching the side tonight, because Philly can, if Embiid is more right than wrong, blow them out, and then Atlanta can look forward to extending a very impressive home winning streak to force a game 7.
Yeah, it looks like all the series are going to go 7, and the uncertainty of the injuries. I can't remember a playoff year where it was like this, where every single series was just day to day, and you didn't really know. But I did say to Rob before I think it was before we went on the air, Rob, for people who want to play the Sixers or the Hawks, I think a prudent play is if you really like one of those teams, just do a 50% pre-flop, and then at the tip, you'll see for yourself if Embiid's in the game. Then you'll see if Embiid looks like he's Embiid. If Embiid looks like he's 80%, like Tony says, and you're a backer of the Sixers, and you can get minus 2.5 in game, or even plus 2.5 for 25% each, that's what you want to do. And then conversely, if you like Atlanta, and you do the 50% pre-flop, and Embiid looks like there's nothing wrong with him, then you don't add. you don't add.
What'd you catch Brooklyn at plus early? I assume second quarter. They were down by 16 pretty early, mid-second.
Yeah, my $2 Tuesday was the over. I don't know if I told you guys that.
Did it hit?
It did.
Okay.
But it was pretty hairy because, the news came out, which I wasn't expecting the news with Harden. But then I'm thinking, 2 of my 3 models were saying 228 to 230 points is the likely outcome. So I was thinking, well, it's gone to 222. We're nowhere close to that. So yeah, I still like it. But some people don't look at numbers, and I had to take that in consideration. So what we did was we did a little case study on the show. Remember when I was talking about in-game betting on the total and the sides for both of them? So the people who had the over then were allowed to hear me on the show talk about how to play the over. So with Harden playing, I did 50% at whatever level the price was at that time, 221 I guess it was, or 220.5 I guess it came down to. And then 25% at 213.5 and 207.5, and they both got filled easily in that first half. So then the talk about my overs really didn't apply to the people who did the $2 Tuesday bet. So fortunately, everybody was happy and nobody asked for a $2 refund.
Right. I mean, that was Harden's brilliance down the stretch, and then game extension, and those are gifts, and you thank the Lord for them, because Lord knows he still balance that out. So let me give out a free play before I have to go.
Sure, go ahead.
It's going to be on Donovan Mitchell. I think he is going to break the consecutive points streak from Karl Malone, where he tops 30, but the number there is 33.5. So there's a little wiggle room to have him do that and miss. I really love his assists prop, though. It's 5.5 even money. I saw at DraftKings, 5.5 after he's been called out in a game where he scored, close to 40 in that game 4. And the people that love to rip on him on Shaq and Barkley said, yeah, he's a great player, but he doesn't. He gets his, and he doesn't get people involved. Combine that, because he heard it. Combine that with the fact that the Clippers are going to sell out on the road to not allow him to be Donovan Mitchell, was Superman Donovan Mitchell at home, and probably send bodies at him. And the fact that he's got shooters around him, I think he'll get eight assists easy. So
I love it. Nice. I love it. I'm trying to get
the Friday. Nick, thanks for the golf knowledge. Rob, thank you for the link, and good luck tonight. And John, as always, a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having being on here. It's great to have you on.
All right,
thanks,
guys.
Take care, Tom.
Have a good night. Good luck.
Go Italia.
I think that meant good luck. I think.
Now he mentions that because he was trying to get in. He was trying to get into the show, and he didn't have the link. He had a bad link, so I was in Slack, or I was in a DM with him on Twitter while the show was going on, trying to get him the link. And I mentioned that, I'm betting this soccer because I intentionally bet World Cup soccer and stuff like this, UEFA, with no knowledge whatsoever. And I was telling Tony, I said, Italy had just scored a goal, and I wrote in capital letters on the DM, Italy. And I didn't know if he had Switzerland. I'm praying to God I'm not hurting the guy's feelings. But he wrote back big time. So, this World Cup, not World Cup, but this European Championship, it's crazy because, like I was telling Tony through the DM, I bet these things like I'm a 9-year-old because I'm a novice. And if I really had any knowledge of soccer whatsoever, I'd have made pretty good money already because I seem to be on a lucky streak here with these games. But I don't know what I'm doing. And somebody asked me today, it was so funny, guys, on Twitter. Somebody wanted to know, hey, how about a second half recommendation on that Wales game? And, I had Wales for no reason. No reason. And he goes, any advice, any second half advice? And I said, yeah, pray Wales keeps winning because that's what we got. That's all I had for the guy. I had no and the fact that I learned that number 10 on Wales, who scored one of their goals, was called Wonder Boy or something, I guess is a nickname of his. But I'm learning along the way.
Yeah.
With these teams because I like these big events. It's like the Triple Crown in horse racing, John. I love horse racing much more than I love soccer because soccer gets to be a bit of a bore. But I like these big events is the point. And so I get involved like a regular, like we tell guys all the time not to do. That's what I'm doing here. We tell them not to do this. Don't do it. Don't just play for action. And here I am sitting here playing for action. So Italy, because I'm an Italian, of course, I'm rooting for them. And they've won twice now, so good for them.
3-0 today.
Well, it's the luck of the Italians now.
I don't want to take that horseshoe that's stuck between your private place that you've held in there for a while, but
I'm not losing that thing.
Where that sport is concerned, I'm beginning to feel like I have one as well. It's been good, with no knowledge of what the hell I'm doing. No knowledge. I have no clue. I should be talking to somebody. Like Tony was 15-1 in soccer, and I said to him on the NBA tip-off show, I said, hey, you're holding out on me. You're 15-1 in soccer. Come on, man. And because he knows it. Like Nick, I think you're a soccer guy too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys.
I've been off. Yeah, 2-0 today. I've been off to a great start during this tournament.
And God bless the amount of work that you guys do because there's a zillion leagues, and the guys that cover it seem to know. Carmine Bianco, I'm on with him on Saturdays on Joe Ranieri's Sirius XM show, and he comes on, and it doesn't matter what you ask the guy, he knows. So. It's a lot of work, I know, because I just see the amount of teams and the amount of players, and kudos to you guys for covering it all because I'm just sitting here throwing darts.
Hey, working.
My day is complete.
Tony,
but gotta fade Wolfman. That's I think we have chat room guys, Nick, that have names that are in code, but I know exactly what they're talking about. So that's I would have to. Matt Wolf's not on my radar, that's for sure.
No.
And then let's see, Tony Finn, is he on your radar?
Who?
Yeah,
not
there he is.
He's probably up there in the 10-1, 11-1 leaders.
Yeah. Then this guy's funny. I mean, Max on record, he calls DeChambeau meathead. Meathead. 20th or worse, minus 103.
All the way back to,
have those protein shakes.
to Archie Bunker. You know?
Right, all in the family, meathead. You're right.
Man,
Tom.
that might be a good bet. DeChambeau, because I think he's going to... do you see him being able to do what he did at Winged Foot out of the rough when it's that ryegrass versus the kikuyu grass? There's no way.
This is different. Yeah, this will be different.
Yeah, so minus 103. That's actually pretty good there, Max on record. Appreciate you saying that.
DraftKings has a the feud between Bryson and Brooks Koepka, so they fed into it. They have a boosted head-to-head matchup between the two.
Excuse me.
I took Koepka plus 110 just for that reason.
Yep, I would too. Yeah, his knee looks like it's okay. I mean, that's the only danger with Koepka is the knee.
Well, he's hard to read. He plays awful 3 of the last 4 weeks, but it's a major.
Now, Tony, Finn, and Rob, this is trivia now because your golf knowledge. Maybe we'll let Rob answer this question first.
John Daly.
Max, well, we know that's your favorite golfer, but he's not in this event. He once was. He once was in this event and played pretty well in this event.
Yeah.
But he's not in this event. So, Rob Vino, what does Max on record mean by lefty 56th or worse? What's his question? If you wanted to answer it, what would you say?
I would think that he feels like he's going to finish 56th or worse.
But who's lefty?
Phil Mickelson.
Ah, there you go. That's pretty good. I know that was, that's, PGA Tour 101, but I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, it's like you. It's like, hey, Nick, you were not here yesterday. Now
so this is bad.
Tell you that I know this, and I just explained to you how little I know about soccer. But yesterday, John Ryan had no clue who Cristiano Ronaldo was.
Okay.
Now, come on.
He's the most popular athlete, not just soccer player, athlete on the planet.
Now, come on. Honest to God. If you wake up in the morning, you have to know who Cristiano Ronaldo is, even if you don't follow the sport.
Exactly.
Just wake up in the morning, and you got him covered.
Yeah, I would have thought Ronaldo was
he won a bet on him, though. He knows him now because he won a bet on him. He cashed.
I took 540, Nick. Plus 540 that he would score 2 goals. I had no clue who he was. All I knew was that.
Did you see how he scored those 2 goals and when he scored those 2 goals?
I was informed by my panel.
I had Portugal -1 as the 5% top play, so I was loving those goals.
Yeah, and they were all at the end.
Oh God, I should,
John. You should not. You probably shouldn't admit that you played something at plus 540. You had no idea who he was. Just don't listen. You can admit it to us. But don't do it live in front of the Torrey Pines golf sign, please.
Yeah, but I'm not pretending to be at the Euro 2020 soccer stadium.
Well, you could though.
I could do that, but then I would be a hypocrite.
Do that someday. Well, no, that you don't have to be in front of it.
I took the advice of Top Flight Sports.
Are you in front of the Torrey Pines golf course sign right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh well, then my apologies. Where is Torrey Pines? I've forgotten.
It's just outside San Diego.
Okay.
It's on the ocean.
Pretty close. Drop one by the house on the way home.
I think, Tone, we've come to the conclusion that we want your background to be William Hill promos from now on.
Well, I have the background coming up. It's a new background. And it's I'm going to play it wherever I am. It's going to be, I'm going to have some animation on it,
And we could have a video of you being escorted out.
Doing shots by the strippers.
And you being escorted out from the blackjack table.
I have been, but
that would be very entertaining. The chat room would go nuts.
I'm always willing to be accountable. That one time it was not my fault. It wasn't my fault. I was defending a young woman's honor. That's what it was.
Oh, it's good to do out there in the Wild West.
No, didn't turn out very well.
So Rob Vino made a good call. Milwaukee first half team total.
They did go.
Nobody saying anything about me. What the hell?
Milwaukee who? The Brewers?
Philly first quarter, Philly first half, Utah first quarter, Utah first half.
Okay.
I've gotten to know Kevin Riley. Sometimes when I read this, I think he's getting overzealous. Too many bets. But then I look like a jerk if he goes 4-0.
Well, too many bets. Who's too many bets? Who?
Philly first quarter, Philly first half. Utah first quarter, Utah first half.
These are the official investments.
This is what Kevin Riley is either has done at the window or is going to do.
I see. All right. Well, hey, it's never too much. It's never too little. As long as they win.
Hey, I know one thing, and I know what Clint Eastwood said. Man must know his limitations in that Dirty Harry movie.
Yeah.
But my limitations are Oral Roberts and whatever his name is, Ronaldo.
Oral Roberts?
Those are my limits.
Oral Roberts?
I will never outdo that. And, if I don't ever bet soccer again, I'm perfect. 1-0.
So, right, you got a story to tell.
I can put that on my hot streaks.
100% lifetime.
Yeah, I think somebody might get mad at me if I did that.
I'm perfect. I think in the new football league.
I somehow I have a lot of faith.
Is Rock really bringing this football league back, or is this just marketing?
I hear it's coming back, like for real.
I did too. That's why I'm asking you. I haven't seen anything else about it since The Rock got on TV and talked about
2023, right?
Oh, is it 2023?
I think. Rob, do you know? Nick?
Well, in fact, to add to that, I just read last week that the 1980s USFL that wasn't really rolling along as a spring league until Donald Trump tried to take it into the fall, and then they didn't survive that. But that league is coming back 40 years later, the USFL. So
that genius.
Football leagues all over the place.
I can't understand. I don't understand why it didn't work because everyone tells me that Donald Trump's genius. I don't know why it didn't work.
Yeah, well, everybody knows.
Everybody didn't listen to him. Yeah,
you can't play it against the NFL. Yeah. That league probably would have been strong, guys, if they'd have just stayed in the spring. But you get mega ego billionaires involved, and they think that they can take on the NFL, and it's just not the case. They're bigger than you are. There wasn't enough financial support. But
I remember
the USFL was taking stars from the NFL, right? Look at all that. Steve Young, $40 million for the LA Express. Herschel Walker playing for the Generals. They had stars everywhere. Jim Kelly with the Houston Gamblers. They were everywhere.
That was a team Trump owned the. Well, it was the New Jersey Generals, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the one that Trump owned.
Yeah,
right.
They were good.
Yep.
Philadelphia Stars. You must have been at a few of those games with Chuck Fusina at quarterback.
Do you remember you remember that egomaniac?
Mr. Penn State.
Do you remember when that egomaniac Lamar Hunt decided to challenge the NFL and break out in the AFL? That's crazy. Whoever thought what?
He had enough leverage, though, by that time, Tone. He's kicking their ass in Super Bowls. Hey, now we're better than you are, or at least as good.
This trivia question is for Tony Fins. I don't think he heard me ask this question yesterday, but you mentioned somebody that
John Daly.
Actually had the brief privilege to meet. The owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Where are their corporate headquarters? Not the practice fields or anything like that. The corporate headquarters of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. Man, he is smart.
Wow. I don't know anything. I know nothing.
You are smart.
It's where they started, right? Dallas Texans.
Exactly.
See, I was trying to trick you because of Kansas and Kansas City and St. Louis and
No, I know a little history about Lamar Hunt. I know a lot about Lamar Hunt. I have met Lamar Hunt quite a number of times.
He was he created the first Bitcoin squeeze.
Yeah, I had never met his son. Listen, the Hunts were pretty aggressive. I don't know if you guys remember
silver.
When I tried to corner the silver market, that was nuts. Huh?
They did. They did.
Well, there you go.
They did, but then they didn't know how to get out because there was nobody left to buy.
Yeah, they took a little hit, but That's like finally cornering the.
I think Nick's going to take off.
Is there
what?
I got to split and go pick up the kid. But I
go.
appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, we want to hear your NBA because I have a funny feeling he's pretty good at NBA and the Major League Baseball, and he can add even more to that.
I balled all through high school, but
there you go.
I'm only 6'5", and I played center, so I wasn't going to make it very far after that.
6'5" is big for a golfer, man. He was
big for a golfer.
He probably hits it a mile.
You'd have done great in the WNBA.
I grew up in Iowa, and it was big enough there through high school, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And it was over.
Oh, man,
that's cool. That is cool.
Are you a Cyclone or a Hawkeye fan? Huh? Hawkeye.
Yeah. Yep.
One of the best.
Just curious.
First quarter.
That's good.
That first quarter football tradition is one of the best going right now, right?
Absolutely.
With the Children's Hospital, it's great.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Iowa made I think they made a large mistake years and years ago.
When they fired Hayden Fry.
Hayden Fry?
Well, they didn't fire Hayden Fry soon enough. There was a guy that came along. There was a guy that played for or a coach with Hayden Fry that ended up being, I think, he's not only a Hall of Famer, huh?
Ferentz?
No. He's
Tom Davis? Basketball? Are we talking basketball?
No.
He had such a great look on the sideline for a head coach.
How about a guy that turned the worst program in the history of all programs around and did it with junior college players in a little
Bill Snyder.
Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder.
Stop trying to get things past me, Tony.
Listen, what Bill Snyder? No one even had.
Take care,
most
Nick.
people
Thanks
can't
for everything, buddy.
fathom.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Good luck.
Bill Snyder.
Bill Snyder. The hell
I
of
can't
a coach.
fathom what Bill Snyder did, huh? Most people don't understand what he did.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
They do not.
Kansas State.
I mean,
Well, yes, but you don't. You have to know the history of Kansas State football. It was equivalent of Temple of. I mean,
you can't recruit.
Temple and Kansas State were like they're doormats. No one. You get recruited by those two.
You can't.
You were going to be the
didn't make it
laughing
public.
stock of your high school team, huh?
You did not make it public, is right.
Well, that's why he had to go the junior college route with everybody.
Sure.
He did it better than anybody. I mean,
Yes,
bring in guys and coach them up. His staff, his coaching tree, Tony, is great.
Oh,
I mean, those guys are all over the place.
Mangino, Stoops. If Mangino had not, locked the kid in the closet and beat him to death, he'd still be coaching.
Right. When's the last time they were good? When Mangino coached them?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm exaggerating about the locking a kid. Mangino was fired for he was an abuse. The guy that locked it.
It was the guy for Texas Tech. It was Leach.
Yeah, he's still coaching. I like it.
He locked Craig James's kid in the football shed.
That's right. But I covered Bill Snyder, and I know a lot of his personally. Know a lot of his assistant coaches. Ex-assistant coaches.
Right.
Why? If you didn't listen, Bill Snyder, and you had to work 100 hours a week. Wow. 7 days a week, 100 hours a week. And I lived next to one of them. I lived next to the pastor, who was the pastor for all the assistants too. And those guys never missed church. Why? Because they went to ask for forgiveness for wanting to kill Bill Snyder. I'm not joking.
Well, at least they did the right thing by doing that.
Well, yeah, they didn't kill him.
You know what? In retrospect, that's what it took to get that team on the map, isn't it?
Yeah.
And unbelievable that he competed for not just Big 12 championships, but had teams that were in conversation for national championships. And if you've ever been to Manhattan, Kansas, Kelly aside, where Kelly was born, Manhattan, Kansas, it's not an easy place to recruit.
Right.
18-year-olds that want a nightclub to go to and have a party. Not happening. Not in Manhattan. Not in the Little Apple. And if you like to fish, you like to hunt, you like to camp out during tornadoes, it's a place to be.
Camp out during tornado.
Well, that could be a recruiting point. You know, you get to see real tornadoes.
You do, and let's not say that lightly because it's quite the sight. By the way,
I've seen them actually.
Yeah,
I can tell you the truth.
Sight.
I've seen
idiot high schoolers. We would chase them. You know, we were going to be those storm chasers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suggest that either. I would say that there should be something on every commercial that says, "Listen, kids, or even adults, or even stupid adults that think they're still kids, don't try this at home. Not a good idea."
It was in North Texas, and pro storm chasers, and paid them a little bit of money to ride along.
Nice.
And they usually, I know a lot about tornadoes. They usually go southwest to the northeast. They don't turn around and go backwards, like some people think. So you can get in a position that is safe. And if you stay to the southwest of them, trailing them, we actually saw the F3, and the sun was out where we were because they always happen at the front. So it can be pitch black, as Tony Finn knows, and then beautiful blue sky. Yep. Just absolutely beautiful blue sky, like the color of this. Oh, yes. That's green screen, but it's blue. And it's spectacular. I mean, it's just absolutely spectacular. I don't like the damage it causes, but the noise. When people say it sounds like a locomotive, it sounds like a locomotive. I mean,
that's exactly right.
You can see, and for lack of a better word, you can see large objects and other things flying around the funnel.
Dorothy, Toto.
And that was only an F3.
Yeah.
A friend of mine in Waco that lives there, he sent me the F5 that went through there, about 16 years ago?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just unimaginable when you have a funnel that the base that's on the ground is 3/4 of a mile wide.
That's the dangerous thing about those. That's the most dangerous is because this. We saw funnels all the time, and you could catch these little funnels that touch the ground and just disappear. They weren't strong enough to form. Those were gorgeous. Little funnels, you can see them. It's those funnels that are a mile, 3/4 of a mile. Guess what?
The Oklahoma City one.
We say, look at that dark area. It's really good dark. We got a store coming, and then my buddy say, look to the right of that dark area. Look to the left. I said, man, that's really beautiful. But that's a funnel. You better get your ass, and you better. They're just they're underrated. I mean, people that have never experienced them like me. We had 25 or 50 of them every spring.
And sometimes you have 20 in like a 36-hour period.
That's what I was going to say to you. You said you would fall behind them. Well, it's okay to fall behind them as long as there's not another one forming behind you.
Yep, because you don't know where they're going to drop down. You don't know. And then there's Juliet, Missouri, and they keep rebuilding that town, and that town just gets absolutely leveled.
Springfield recently, right? 10 years, 15 years, yeah.
And that's one place in Oklahoma where it's hit 2 or 3 times in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Same place.
Yep.
I don't know how people do it. It's like the people with the hurricanes in Florida. How do you just keep rebuilding? Thing comes through, wrecks your stuff.
You just do.
Tough.
It's like living in all the buddies of mine that for the first 5-7 years they lived in, and we've talked about this, in a non-extradition country. They had lived on these. Yeah, Canada. They down in South, down there in the Yucatan area, they built shacks. Essentially, they built homes that were shacks. And they were nice shacks, but it didn't cost them much to get them built. They were livable. Weather was always, 80 degrees, and but they would have some storms that would tear the shacks. The shacks would be in shambles. Maybe a shack would be a shack, but it didn't cost much to rebuild. That's what you did, until you could afford to build a home that would withstand some of the storms. And the storms down there are not like the ones that John's speaking of with hurricanes. Here hurricane force. So,
Oh, there's no comparison. A hurricane is different because it involves water.
Right.
Where now so is a tornado, but it's a major thunderstorm on steroids.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Rob, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but we could take the toughest guys we know out of South Philly, and I assure you that it is a 100% probability that they get within 5 miles of an F3. They will have nicotine in the pants like you can't believe, because you hear it the first time, and like even like an F2 is enough to relocate a house.
Yeah.
F3 definitely will relocate houses. F4 is where you just don't want to see it. But it does. I mean, like in the movie Twister, that last scene was the Oklahoma City F5, which was over a mile at the base, and you could not see it.
Yeah.
And that was the danger. You could not see it. You couldn't. There was no radar that was that people would have, and they had no idea where it was.
That sound that John's speaking of too here's the deal. Before those tornadoes, it's not the eye, but there's a calm before if you're in the path of one of those. There's a calm that is eerie, just dead still, and then all of a sudden that train noise and the wind and the train is stronger and strong, and it's I still kind of get some goosebumps because those situations were. As a kid, they were just exciting. They weren't as scary as they were exciting, only because we were idiots. We were all right.
Yeah, did you have the self-made wind vanes? They were made out of what? Tin and steel.
My dad built ones. He didn't build them strong enough to withstand, but he built them so that. And it was funny. What did you want? Did you want Lefty, an image of Lefty on top of it? And so as the wind got stronger, Lefty's swing would get faster. He'd have a golfer that would be in swing would be going there you go. That thing's done, because the wind would get too strong and just rip it apart. But he built so many of those. I still remember those so well. Amazing, the things they were all mechanical. They were all did something. A putter, a rabbit, a guy pulling a rabbit out of a hat. He'd make almost anything he wanted, but eventually that was not going to survive because it could not survive.
Once the swing speed got to a certain, it would fly off.
Yeah. As soon as Mickelson was hitting balls 500-600 yards, his arm would fly off. Everything would fly off. Yeah.
And the worst place to go, Rob, when you see one is in the underpass, like on a interstate highway, and the best place to go is throw yourself in a ditch. The tornado, that takes a lot of courage, but I don't plan on ever having to do that. But if you're caught out in a field, like some of these farmers might get caught. Back in the day, now they have a little bit of warning, but it's still not much. I mean, what is it, 20 minutes?
Yeah,
it's not long.
Technology now, they're so careful now too. Is you're going to get torn. The problem with it now is it's almost you get calloused to. You have tornado warnings like 20 times a day, during the spring, and the problem is you start ignoring them. Right. Like we've heard this before, and then all of a sudden one of those warnings comes to fruition. So that's the danger.
Yeah.
You're right, John. Is that they warn you when there's just a possibility of the first sight of a small funnel somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they also, I like talking about this with Rob because this is part of our show where we actually provide education above and beyond sports.
Yeah.
But the biggest tornadoes on record, many of them have occurred in Minnesota, near the Canadian border, and in March, these tornadoes will start in the Mexico-Texas border, and they move north throughout the following months. So I guess July would be prime time for where Tony used to live.
Well, it would be May.
Starting now,
April, May, June. We still have them. We still had those in July, but that spring when the north. When you have those two fronts that collide, the hot and the cold, that's that is off
the Rockies and out of the Gulf, man.
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking of tornadoes, I guess the Philly crowd will be probably analogous to that if things don't go their way. But we do. Kevin Riley, I don't know if it's a good thing or not. First quarter for.
Well, Kevin, I don't know. Let's put it this way, Kevin. I was on the NBA. I had to sub in this morning. I'll be on the NBA tomorrow with Rob. We'll be on the NBA tip-off show, but I had to sub in today, and I spoke to those shot charts. That second half shot chart of the Phillies is about the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I mean,
yep.
I told them this morning, you can push blame almost anywhere you want in that. It's hard. You can push to Embiid. You should have probably said, "Listen, we're up 18, and I'm not right," or you could have had the shrink on the sideline for Simmons, who has become arguably has some phobia of taking a shot in a big game or afraid to go to the free throw line in this situation, much like LeBron. To some degree, I believe LeBron still does that, but LeBron has the ability to make sure that when he does go to the rim, he's going to make the shot, and if he goes to the free throw line, at least he's not the real kind of a GOAT instead of the greatest of all time. But Simmons took, in the final 17 minutes of the game, he took one shot. And then again, of course, he's 1 for 5 from the free throw line. And I told them that I talked to a Georgia reporter and that the at the Atlanta Dome was sending Sixers a bill for the rim, 4 big dents in that son of a bitch, 1 for 5, and they said we're not paying for this rim anymore that Simmons have done.
Well, I can't go to the game tonight because I'm in Torrey Pines, so.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know what? They got televisions down there in San Diego.
Yeah, but there's so much to watch here, Tony. It's just all.
Well,
I do better when I bet on the game and I don't watch it.
Well, I rarely watch games live. I mean, I have them on television, but I watch all tapes. I watch
I do too.
Like football on Sundays.
Yep.
I don't watch games. I watch everything edited. I can watch a game in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So
right.
And then you don't get the announcer bias, and especially Merrill Reese. How many times, Rob, have we heard Cunningham drops back? He looks. He fires. Incomplete. He's the most passionate person ever to be an Eagles fan.
How did Andy Reid ever get? How did Kansas City ever get their hands on Andy Reid? Because guess what? He never coached anywhere else. Never.
I agree with that. He was a terrible coach with the lead, as Rob will attest. Terrible. He would get a lead of 7 points and start sitting on it instead of being like a guy like Belichick who would just want to rip your jugular out.
Well, and not anymore. He doesn't listen. They don't know how to sit on a lead. They'd probably be. It's either that or the leads they have now are so big. It doesn't matter what they do.
Well, look at the quarterbacks. You can't compare McNabb to Mahomes.
You can.
So maybe the personnel. Well, yeah, you understand my point. Maybe personnel just wasn't there.
The truth is, the offense that they run now, you guys, I'll ask you some trivia here. The offense that Andy Reid runs isn't like, it's not like anyone else's offense. Although there have been some coaches who have piggybacked him, because that offense he's running right now is about 3 to 4 years old. And he and another coach teamed up. Andy was coaching the Chiefs at that time. And the other coach, Rob, had just been – he was no longer a head coach in the National Football League. However, those two teamed up. And what this other head coach did was he went to college games. And Andy said, I want you to steal everything you can steal in the spread formations the college are running. I want the college versions of this, not the NFL, not the stale NFL versions of or run and shoot spread, whatever you want to call them. Who is that coach? And he deserves so much of the credit right now for what Kansas City has done with Mahomes and that Andy Reid offense.
Dick Vermeil.
No, Dick. Listen,
No.
Dick's still in Philly, cleaning up that apartment that he rented for. No, I'm kidding.
What'd you say? He's no longer a coach in the NFL?
He wasn't at that time, and he's no longer. Well, I think he's a pseudo coach. I'd have to check on that, but he was a coach. And let's just make it easy. If you don't know, he was an offensive coach that was a head coach for a team that was.
So.
A team that they expect him to play to be better defensively. I don't think that's the case ever, any team anymore. But he was a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Was.
Childress.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He and Childress got together, and all Childress did for 2 years, got film, went every college study, wrote up, and he is the architect of that offense that Andy Reid runs. Childress.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Childress got Andy tried to give but you can still find some articles if you'll Google them, but it'll kind of explains what he and Childress did to create what they do right now in Kansas City.
It's so funny, Tom, because there's so many hybrid versions of what they used to call West Coast, right? That's where Reed fell off that tree, right? The Bill Walsh West Coast tree, and those coaches are scattered all across. But what used to be West Coast has been, just like you're saying, Andy Reid put his own spin on it with Childress. They got together and made a hybrid out of it, and the Rams run a hybrid out in Los Angeles with McVay. It's crazy how many college additions have been made to and it's it's why some of these kids. How about the NFL draft theory about as recently as 4 years ago that a Big 12 quarterback could never make it in the NFL because of the offenses that were run there. But now the NFL has kind of brought themselves and linked themselves, just like you're saying, to the college game. And all of a sudden you have Pat Mahomes. All of a sudden you have Kyler Murray. All of a sudden you have these guys, and they're at a premium at this point in time,
and that's the air raid. That's the version really kind of the air raid that's the Big 12. And who was the architect? Listen, it's funny. Who really is the architect of the air raid? Or at least I'd call him the number one architect, although it was a combination of a group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, my answer would be Hal Mummy, but I know Hal Mummy was in on it with somebody else. The run and shoot. Which Stoops?
Bob.
Oh, so you're not going back to like the?
No, I'm going back to really Bob. When Bob Stoops and the coach we talked about that locked the kid in the closet,
Leach.
He may be, according to Stoops, he would say Leach was he was kind of the mastermind. He did things that they didn't think about doing. Leach, and that group of coaches who really stuck in, didn't travel too far from that tree from Stoops. Some are still there, but it's much like, and that air raid goes back further than Stoops. But then Eric Coryell, there's a lot of Eric Coryell that still hangs around, and hell, most people don't even know who Don Coryell is.
Yeah, because you can go to the 60s, Tone, and put Sid Gilman as really the originator of all of this stuff.
Oh,
Houston. Early Chargers teams.
And Houston, too.
So
who was the head coach of Houston Oilers back before? I'm trying to think. Before Coryell, that connection, too, you're right. And it all somehow is connected, but yeah.
Right. June Jones,
yes.
And Mouse Davis ran the run and shoot in the NFL with. So I mean, there's a bunch of them, but I do know Leach and Mummy are attached at the hip. They're part of that. I wish I could remember the third voice in there, but that goes back a ways even further than just the '90s with Stoops at Oklahoma. But yeah, I mean, and look at how many guys. It's got Lincoln Riley is now a kid genius because Lincoln Riley came off the Texas Tech tree. Cliff Kingsbury is in the NFL because he came from the Texas Tech tree. So on and so forth. I could rattle off 100 of them, but the guy at SMU, Sonny Dykes.
Listen, I say Houston, but truth is Sonny Dykes he's even more instrumental. You're absolutely right, without question. But that offense, those quarterbacks, prepared and tutored, can be pretty damn good quarterbacks in the NFL, can't they?
Yeah, they certainly can.
Yeah,
they certainly can.
I
They're
got
the
something
most sought after type right now. No, go ahead, John.
I'm going to kind of switch gears on you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But a friend of mine that's one of my first people I ever got to know who's a follower, and I'll try not to tear up now that I'm through 3,100 Twitter followers. But I know you guys remember the day that you went through 3,100.
No, I don't.
What, did it happen in the first week?
No, I don't care. Personally, so I don't even know how many I have. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy. So.
Well, you know my style is like I thank people probably to a fault, right? So if somebody follows me and I get to know them.
I don't get thinking.
But I can't get to know 3,100 of them, unfortunately. But this guy's good, and he plays around with the infamous SDQL.
Oh, geez.
So
cover your ears,
you.
What is Steve Merrill now? I was on a show with him yesterday, and I think I call him the tuck and
roll.
Tuck and run, I think I called him.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to be funny that he doesn't stand up for a fight, he runs and hides.
Well,
so he took it well. I mean, he did take it well, and he says, "Well, I live in Virginia, and I can do whatever I want." So anyway, here's a system that supports my Sixers, and he knows better not to send me something that would not support the Sixers. Thank you, Alex. And a big shout out, because this is a good one that I don't even have, and that's why I'm excited to show it to everybody.
We're going to lose followers if Simmons is involved in this system.
No, he's not. No,
Okay,
if you read this code, it's way too complex. I mean, this code actually tells you what mile per hour the basketball has to go to damage the rim, like you said. So straight up, this system is on the Jazz and the 76ers tonight. Both teams are -7. No, you're... Of course. The Jazz are playing the Clippers at home. The Sixers are playing the Hawks at home.
Okay. Oh, no. Oh, okay.
Right.
No.
All four of these teams have 1 day of rest, too.
Hold on. The Hawks are in Philly.
Yes, I said the 76ers and the Jazz are both at home.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. I'm sorry.
Rob, did I say that or did I not? Rob's watching.
He took one of those mescaline tabs I gave him.
No, you know what?
They were live with Doc Rivers just now, and they're at the court talking about Embiid, who Doc just said he has no clue if he's going to play or not, and then they went to the beat reporter on the side here, who said that Embiid, excuse me, they.
I don't hear him now.
Freezing on us? Well,
he's freezing because I think France scored.
Oh, well, here's the deal. If Embiid is not playing, Rob, while you're frozen in that mescaline state, that's wonderful. It's euphoric beyond measure.
I love it.
He's out of that euphoric state. I didn't mean to wake you up from that euphoric state. But Philadelphia, if he's not playing, then why is this line moved to 7.5 from 7 to 7.5?
No, they're not saying he's not playing. The Doc is saying he doesn't know, which is coach speak. They went to the guy on the sidelines, the sideline reporter, who said they really won't know until warm-ups. But Embiid himself said that he was comfortable enough with the way he felt, even going 0 for 12 in the second half. And they said that an alternate game plan tonight could very well be more Euro ball with Embiid shooting jump shots again and ball moon. And they actually told, you and I will like the sound of this, but I don't know that it's helpful to Philadelphia. But they actually called out Ben Simmons, saying that Ben Simmons has to help more on the offensive end, which, you don't want that guy shooting because he sucks, but you want him up and down the floor, maybe getting the shots that he can make. So it's interesting. I think he's going to play. I don't think there's any question he's going to play. It's just a matter of the style that he plays, which is weird. The other night, Tony, and you studied the shot chart. Okay,
Yeah.
so in watching that game, Embiid comes out, his first 4 shots of the game are all jump shots, and I immediately was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Because we've already seen what he can do in the interior. And then at the end of the game, when he missed the layup to put them ahead with 7 seconds left, he just said, didn't have any lift. That's why I couldn't make that shot. I didn't have the normal lift from my knee.
From my view, he just missed the shot.
Yeah, it could be an excuse. I mean, who knows? It was a perfect feed from Harris. But what was interesting to me was you listen to all this stuff about, the knee and, that's why we were shooting jump shots and this and that. But, on the defensive end, he was rim protecting in the paint with all the bodies. So why wasn't he there on offense, too? It made no sense to me why on one end of the floor you're exerting yourself defensively, because he was altering shots in the second quarter when Philadelphia took the big lead.
18 points. 18-point lead.
Yeah, and then but you can't play in the paint on offense. It didn't make sense. Then why aren't you just floating around on defense too? So I don't know.
This is. I got one question for both of you.
Yeah,
and the studio audience. Raise your hand if you think I'm wrong, or throw something at John if you think I'm wrong. Be even better. This is the Atlanta Hawks defense.
Right.
You got a 12-foot point guard being defended by a backcourt. The tallest player is 4'2", and you don't take it to the rim.
How many times?
Not once in 17 minutes of action. Yeah, it's mind altering. Reading that is a guy who likes to have his mind altered from time to time. All I have to do is look at that shot chart, and it may be the challenge I need. Is that either Doc? So you can throw. I think you can throw a lot of blame to Doc Rivers in this situation. This is, how many times if you come to my huddle as a 16-year-old kid, and I'm in charge, I'm gonna tell those big, and I'm not gonna use the wrong words here and be politically incorrect, but the goofball, I'd say, you big, goofy, numbskulls. And the next person that takes a jump shot does 100 laps around the that's what my coach would have made us do. You take it to the rim. I don't care if you run over 5 people to do it. Start taking this ball to the rim so they can at least respect that. And then you'll eventually make a jump shot.
Well, it's 609 East. So I take 609 East as time to join in and pile on Ben Simmons here, because he makes you sick when you watch him. He really does. Now, the other night, I can't tell you, it's more than one hand, but it's not 2 full hands, how many times he takes the ball off a defensive rebound and barrels ass down the floor 99 miles an hour and gets almost to the rim and stops and turns around and throws it 30 feet back out. I'm thinking to myself, it's because the clown doesn't want to shoot 2 free throws. There's no question in my mind, because only 2 things are going to happen. He's going to make that layup on the fast break, or he's going to get fouled, one or the other. That's all that's going to happen. And there's no other reason for him not to continue through the extra 4 feet to the rim, except that in his head, oh no, I'm going to get fouled and I can't make free throws. So let's throw it 35 feet back out there and start again. It's nuts. It's totally nuts.
I wrote on it, and
it's nuts.
John's got his hand raised. So John says he doesn't believe either one of us.
Well, there's no defense. Wrong. Well, listen, but there's no defense.
I just wanted to get permission from the teacher to talk.
Go ahead, Tony.
Well, that would be Ben Simmons. He's your teacher.
I didn't realize I still had my system in front of here, but this is I want to finish that, and then I want to tell you
come on.
Some really cool stats.
Okay.
So this is from my buddy Alex Vale, who's one of my I think he was one of my first 50 followers ever. I mean, it's very sentimental.
Thank you,
The guy's obviously smart. So look at this. This tells you to bet on the Sixers and bet on the Jazz, regardless of what the line movement is doing.
Okay.
And you are going to bet, and I have to read this code, and then only I can actually do this. Steve Merrill thinks he can read the SDQL, but he does not have the ability.
It's NRBQ.
Does not have the ability. All he cares about is creating financial terms that are going to make you laugh, like slippage.
Yeah, I like that term.
Or short squeeze.
Oh, I like that term.
That one better.
Yep. So, when he's on Friday, we'll have our little word definition segment, and I'll blank myself out, and we'll let Steve be the host, and he can say, Mr. Finn, what does slippage mean to you?
Well, I have a couple
Don't answer now.
One I name slip, one name I slide. Oh no, we won't.
I'm terrible at keeping secrets.
It's on a Seinfeld episode.
It does sound like, yeah. Maybe we could have that.
That wasn't slip. That was shrinkage, not slip.
That was Kramer sliding in the front door.
All right, so this is not sliding. This is NBA.
Okay.
Yes.
The team's average 3-point percentage is greater than the league average 3-point percentage, and this is a playoff game. Okay, right from the start, playoff game. So the team has a higher 3-point percentage than the league average, and the opponent allows less than the league average 3-point percentage. That would be Atlanta. Since 2017, when these teams like Philly have been a favorite of 4 or more points, they have gone that rate right in front of you. Average line 7.5. I'm sorry, 7.4, which is exactly the line of the Sixers, and Utah just went to -8.
Yeah, I know. No, Utah's going to 8.5.
Even the under here is intriguing at 58%. 47 and 34 to the under for 58%. Thank you, Alex. You get credit because you've clearly come across as smarter than all three of us combined.
Alex and Childress came up with this. It's a genius.
All right, now I have one other thing because every once in a while I do like talking about these really pretty deep things. Sixers were the second most efficient playoff team. Playoff efficiency rating per 100 possessions going into through Sunday.
They were.
Obviously, that didn't go so well in this last game 4. The Hawks pick and roll coverage. The Sixers scored just 34 points in the paint after averaging 59 through the first 3 games.
How many did they score in the second half of that game 5?
I don't know. I didn't write that down.
Rob,
MB was 2. I think it was 2.
2.
Yeah.
2. That's not even possible.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's better than 1.
Rob, it's not possible.
It's better than 1.
If you're trying, it's not possible, Tony.
No, it's not. Even if you don't try. Even if you don't try, if you're drunk and stoned out of your gourd, you're going to accidentally score more than 2 points.
All right, well, let me continue leading the witnesses here.
I'm sorry. I'm going to get.
Joel Embiid was 0 for 12 during that disastrous second half, and just 38 points on 47 second half possessions the Sixers did score.
That's right.
Despite all this nonsense and ineptitude,
don't say they only lost by 4. Or don't say that.
They had a chance to tie in the final seconds.
Yeah,
when Atlanta turned the ball over.
You're right.
And they turned the ball over just 4 times, which is a franchise playoff history record for the Atlanta Hawks. And they still barely won. Let me keep scrolling down here because there's one that you're going to love this.
Okay.
I maybe not Tony. Tony might argue me, but Rob is going to. I think he's going to shake his head.
Everything you've said, John. I agree with everything you've said so far.
The best, and I think you'll like this even more. The best 2-player combination of the Sixers when Embiid has not been on the floor in 30 minutes of play was Shake Milton and Tobias Harris. They're averaging 77 points on, not averaging, they scored 77 points on 58 possessions, which is 133 points per 100 possessions. Clearly the best 2 tandem to use when Embiid's not on the floor. You think that's a trend, or you just think it's like an anomaly that I just kind of came up with? I think it's a combination that works.
What's that? One more time, please.
Putting Shake Milton and Tobias together in the second unit.
Shake Milton's not seeing it. After he saved him in one game, he's not even seeing time.
Well, I'm saying he should be out there.
Well, maybe you're right. I wouldn't argue with anything. Listen, I wouldn't argue with anything that you've thrown to this on the show out. Not one bit. Here's what I would say, and typically I would say, John, you're absolutely correct. Look at this, and they still lost by this. They were still in this and this. Here's what scares me, and scares me is the wrong word. Here's what concerns me to no end, to a depth to the bottom of my core, and that is what this team did from that late in the second quarter until the end of the game. You mean to tell me that these guys that are making $20+ million a year, that a coach as experienced as Doc Rivers can't grab one of these sons of bitches by the nape of their neck, drag them to the floor, hit them 2 times right upside their effing head, and say, "This is it, guys. I forfeit. The next guy that doesn't take this ball to the rim or shoot inside the paint, I forfeit. I will throw the towel into the middle of the court, just like they do in boxing, and I will stumble onto the floor, act 10 times drunker than Mike Tyson did after he got hit by Douglas, and I will forfeit."
And I'm going to tell you exactly. I'm going to tell you exactly how Philadelphia screwed themselves, and how it just, because people don't think long term. But here's what everything. None of that stuff in the second half was inflicted by Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is not the reason why Philadelphia's own, they got in the way of themselves, a game that they should have won. Easily should have won. They blew it. Now, where it screws them is they should be coming here tonight 3-1 lead, and they should be able to have the option tonight to confidently rest Joel Embiid and give him what would have been 4 days off until Game 6 if his knee is bugging him. But now they can't do it because the idiot screwed everything up, and now the guy's got to play on the bad knee no matter what, and it could end up going 7 games. Now, they should have been in a far better position than what they're in. Now, Clint Capella, here's a reason why I think Philadelphia will probably react a little bit. Clint Capella's popping off about how, we realized all you have to do is be physical with Embiid and he'll back down. Clint Capella got nothing to do with anything that went wrong with Joel Embiid. Philadelphia screwed themselves. They should be ahead 3-1 and resting Joel Embiid tonight and not even worrying. They could say, hey, we'll go down 3-2. All we have to do is win one of the next 3 games, but we'd rather have Joel healthy. Instead, they're forced to play this guy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You can't just throw these games away and act like they're nothing. And, the other team did all of this, and they still only lost by 4. No, it's playoff time. You have to win that game. They didn't. Now, because of that, they have to come out tonight. What if they lose tonight and they're 3-2 down going to Atlanta for Game 6? I mean, they put themselves in a heck of a spot.
Yes,
I happen to think they'll probably bounce back, but I'm not sure. If Joel Embiid doesn't last 4 quarters,
they'll find a way tonight. They'll find a way.
We're watching these stars drop like flies. Kawhi Leonard tried to play through it. Guess what? ACL done for the playoffs. Guess what? It's happening all over the place.
Yeah. I'll give you 2 more things.
I want to give you
2 more. I'll give you 2 more things.
Okay.
All right, the transition defense. All right, so in the first 2 games, the Hawks had 19 second chance points combined. In games 3 and 4, they had 20 and 21 points in each one. And there was Dwight Howard had the foul in the fourth quarter, and then they scored 8 in a row on second chance scoring opportunities in that quarter that gave them the lead. And the other thing is, if it's obvious to me, I think they can adjust this. They're rebounding the ball horribly bad when Embiid is out. Only 62% of the missed shots are being rebounded by a Sixer that the Hawks take. And that can't continue. Get Howard out there and have him rebound the ball, like you said, Tony. Be aggressive and knock some bodies around and be the enforcer that we know you can be. And then the other thing is so obvious to me is Trae Young is now giving out assists, right? He's giving out the dimes, as they like to say. So he's given out the majority, like 85% of his assists are either to Collins or the other guy. You said his name. What is his name? See, I'm getting too worked up. I can't remember.
Bogdanovich?
It's Collins and Capella.
All right.
All right. That accounts for 82% of his assists. So would it make sense for Doc Rivers get the team together and kind of go over the film and when these assists occur?
Well,
so that Thibault and
no.
Yeah, I mean, he can't
Doc
stop
Rivers. Doc Rivers has to say is, if you shoot a jump shot, you're effing fired. That's all he's got to say.
I'm talking about defense now, Tony.
You can't stop.
You don't have to play defense.
No, you're right, Tony.
Screw this up.
I mean,
I see your point.
At its very, very basic form, you're absolutely right, Tony. You shouldn't have to be digging for excuses and adjustments because of this matchup. Just doesn't. You should win this series. But you can't stop the assist to Clint Capella because Trae Young puts you in that bind. 82% of the assists, you know what they are? They're
Between
those
alley-oops.
They're those alley-oops.
Yep.
He gets in the lane, and he forces you to make a decision, and they can't stop that because they can't stop him from beating his man off the dribble. So he's going to get there. Either he's going to shoot the floater, or he's going to, if you come to get that, Joel Embiid, he's going to go over your head for a dunk. So he's not stopping 82%. And who cares if the assists are to Capella? Honestly, who cares?
They could stop Collins, though, and then that stops the ball movement.
Collins
that stops.
didn't shoot well. I mean, honestly, Collins didn't shoot well at all for 2 games. I mean, they did have him stopped. I think, listen, guys, Game 4 was more of a mirage than anything else, but it's a self-inflicted mirage. So digging for extra things that Philadelphia could or couldn't do, all they have to do is show up and play the right way philosophically, and they're going to win the game. On offense, get the ball in the paint, score your 100 points in the paint. Tony, the other night when we were on before that game, and I remember you saying, I'm on over, and all Atlanta has to do is get me 100 because they're going to get the other 125 themselves because they can't be stopped. It's simple. It's basic. They didn't do it. Somehow Doc Rivers let them veer off the game plan. He's as much to blame as anybody for not straightening
I
them
agree
out.
with that, too. I definitely agree with that.
And that's it.
Here's the deal, Rob. You said it. You said it right then. I said it one time. You said it. I'll say it one time. Then we'll let John say it so it can be official. And that is that my concern is that Doc Rivers has a history of this. He's got a history.
Yeah, he does.
Of this kind of coaching, of being a cheerleader and not taking his boot and sticking it up the ass of these idiots for 17 game minutes, which is the equivalent of an hour and a half of torture for Philadelphia fans and those of us that put our hard-earned money across the sportsbook counter. And I'm sorry, but if I'm on the jury, you're not guilty. You're not guilty. Not guilty of what? Of justifiable homicide of Doc Rivers.
Listen, and if he can't do it at these timeout huddles, if he can't do it, there's got to be an assistant coach on that bench that can step in there and be the hard ass. It's got to be Sam Cassell. It's got to be somebody.
I agree with that.
These assistant coaches are the ones who run practices anyway. You think Doc Rivers out there running practice? He doesn't run practice. These assistant coaches run it.
John, say it.
Yep.
Justifiable homicide.
Justifiable what is it again? It's a big word.
You want to start making jokes of this? Because I got some jokes.
Justifiable Dwight Howard.
We'll get politically incorrect. Really
bad.
We will.
You know what? I don't even. Dwight Howard hasn't even been a problem. Dwight Howard's been good. I think better than what he should be because he's playing with midgets down there.
Yeah, Dwight should play for Denver though.
I do think those things I pointed out though are correctable. Correctable. Like they should not be rebounding 63% of the balls ever.
You have to have a coach. You have to have a coach
ever
that knows how to do that. Listen, do
you realize that 63% of rebounds is just about the equal of Simmons' free throw percentage?
They're correctable because they didn't happen in the 2 games that they won. They didn't happen. They're correctable because they're self-inflicted. These idiots brought it on themselves. I mean, it's not.
And that's what I'm trying to point out.
Correctable shouldn't even be the word that we use here. Just sheer stupidity of the 76ers.
They need to rebound the ball tonight.
These are conversations that, at least what I'm insinuating, and
they shouldn't have to be had.
Because these are the conversations I have all year long in college basketball. Listen, this coach does a great job preparing for a game. In game, he stinks. He doesn't know how to make adjustments. We should never have this conversation about an NBA coach, ever.
I mean, you have to come down on your
They have to do it less, right? They have to do it less because players are smart enough to make adjustments as well.
Yeah, they let it get away.
Philly. Not Philly.
He's as much to blame as the players.
Yep.
And if the players in the NBA, if players are allowed to do something, they're going to do it. You have to, as the coach, stop them from doing it and point them back in the right direction. When just like this show, when it goes off the rails, John, you have to be the guy to grab it and put it back the way it's supposed to be.
I own up to Johnny every morning. I own up to him every day, but he doesn't ask me, so I don't have to own up to it, I guess. But I'm prepared. I'm prepared. I'm a terrible person in meetings, but I'm prepared.
Personally, I think they'll just go back to what they were doing in 2 and 3 tonight, and all things will be okay as long as Joel's okay health-wise. That's the major concern. But what happened in Game 4 should have never happened. Never
let's do this. We can pound this. We can pound this Doc Rivers donkey all night long. It's not going to change a damn thing because I can already see it happening. Yeah, it's a donkey. The donkey show in Mexico, and he's got to face the Doc Rivers. That's Doc Rivers. We got to go see that show. And then when you get there, it's like I said, you can't watch, but you can't not watch. So we need to move to what this means to you two with no Leonard tonight. What's it mean?
They're done. They're done.
Now,
that conversation. They're done.
Right. But are they done? Are they done? My question to you is, I have an opinion. I have a strong opinion. I put it out in the NBA show. Are they done? See, we have a number. Now, is Leonard 7 points? 8 points? Is he 7 points? Is he worth 7 points?
Well, nobody thinks so because what were there 2.5 and now they're 8. So now, and it's been pushed.
Okay,
let's be fair to the odds maker because when they first moved it to 7. So they thought he was worth 4.5. Money thinks he's worth even more than 4.5.
Very fair.
So
and it's deflating to the Clippers. I mean, it's very deflating to them. I know they're pros and stuff, but they kind of know the reality.
All right. Well, I'm kind of playing pseudo host here. I'm asking you guys,
pseudo host.
Do you think he's worth that much? Is what you're asking. Do you think
you like
he's
that
worth
term?
that much?
It's almost as good as justifiable. Homicidal.
I don't think he's worth that many points by himself. But I think the whole situation where it really just is the end for the Clippers, unless something even more monumental than what KD did occurs, which I don't think it will.
Tony, what did I say? I told you it's all lies on what Durant does, because what Durant does, everyone else does. And let me tell you, it looks pretty grim. When Durant was like 4 for 15 from the floor, whatever it was early on, it looked pretty grim. But Durant stepped the F up, and my goodness gracious, you know what? Guess what? Durant will make a better head coach for the Sixers.
All right, let's move on to final thoughts and best bets. I think I have dinner reservations in a minute, but.
Maybe
that's okay. I can drive separately. Separately.
You can
What's that?
If your dinner is with Doc at Manny's Pub here, then please show him this tape. That I'm not even a Philly fan. Well, imagine what a passionate, crazy South Philly group of guys from neighborhood are ready to do to Doc Rivers. I don't even want to talk about it. Because I might give someone an idea. Stop.
I know, Rob. I can tell you this: there's a couple of watering holes I go into occasionally now, and actually, I'm beginning to be a recognizable local celeb, mainly because of the antics and how Tony Finn likes to just lose his mind.
I can see that. Ride that train.
And then they like you because you're just calm, cool, and collected. And Tony would. I know I'm going to hear it. Tony's saying justifiable homicide, and I'm laughing my butt off, and Rob Vito's not even I guess maybe. It's so great. So let's do our final bets.
All right. Okay. All right.
And I dare you to
John
do
Daly.
it. I dare you to do it.
Oh no! Don't please don't dare me to do anything. When
All
I
right,
get in this state of mind, don't dare me to do anything.
I'm looking at the clock, so I'm going to go first really, really fast, John.
Okay, dude.
All right.
I'm going to go to MLB, and I'm going to tell you that I just played today. First thing in baseball I played was just a straight fade of Justice Sheffield and the Seattle Mariners. Minnesota, excellent team, hitting left-handers. And by the way, I played the 5-inning line because I don't want any part of Minnesota's bullpen. So the exact line on the game, guys, Minnesota minus half a run. 5-inning line plus $1. Straight fade of Justice Sheffield. Tone, I know you're somebody who looks at all the exteriors of these pitchers. He is in the bottom 10 percentile in a whole bunch of them this year, Justice Sheffield. Just not the same pitcher that he was a couple of years ago. Minnesota hits lefties real well. Fourth in OPS, I think, in the major leagues against lefties. I don't know a ton about Bailey Ober, except that I went through the minor league numbers, and I went through this, and he's got a 15-2 strikeout to walk ratio, which is really, really good for a young guy. 24th rated prospect in the system, so not one of the top 5, but certainly looks like good enough to handle the Seattle lineup for 5 innings here while his team gets enough runs for him. So give me Minnesota, maybe a 4-2, 5-2 type first 5 innings here over Justice Sheffield and the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, his concern, Robbie.
Yeah.
Look at his hits. Look at his hits. Innings pitched. That's my concern with him. And there you go. Other than that, it is Seattle. They're going to give you 100%, but they're surprisingly about 10 ticks up for the season. 10 plus units probably for the season because they win when you don't expect them to win, and they lose when they're supposed to. That kind of a team. And I think it'll be that way all year. So I'm going to jump. You done?
I'm done.
I'll jump, and I'll make mine quick too. Mine quick is because I'm pretty frustrated. Part of my frustration is listen.
No, really?
Yeah. Part of my frustration is
I thought the medication was working pretty well.
Well, I'll be fine here once I break the tequila out and get rid of this diet root beer. But
I feel safe that you're in Las Vegas and the Sixers are playing in Philly. I just want you to know that I don't have to get more bail money out for you just in case. But I don't mind doing it.
I'm glad that's very nice. Kind of you guys. You shouldn't have said that because you may be called upon someday. Now, I lost 2 games today. A bullpen cost me. I mean, I really have the under. It's locked. It's done. It's in Kansas City and Detroit. And look at the last couple. It's ridiculous. Okay, it's absurd. And bullpens have been better, and then I got Tampa Bay who falls way behind on some bad plays, and then they tied up and they can't score in extra innings and they give up, and I lose that. So that is really the microcosm of my entire life. So we're gonna move on to another one. Jared Cole. You know what you're getting with Jared Cole, guys, correct? Yes or no? You know what you're getting with him. Even with the tack crap, you know what you're getting. Just say yes or just say no.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Here's what you think you know what you're getting with Stripling, right? You think you know what you're getting with Stripling because Stripling's been what?
Been pretty good lately.
He was bad. He was bad as hell until a game against the Boston Red Sox on May 19th. What's he done since? That is the public, and that is the masses overreacting to a month of a baseball season, or even overreacting to one NFL Sunday. This team will never win again. Did you see them play this Sunday? That kind of thing, right? Since May 19th, 2.38 ERA. 0.97 whip. And that's across, I think, 4 or 5 starts. But so the next thing I get somebody asking me, well, they didn't play anybody. Astros, Tampa Bay Rays, Boston Red Sox, just mentioned 3. That's 2.38 ERA, 0.97 whip. We're in Buffalo. They want to desperately make this line 9.5. It's already come down to a heavy 9 under, 8.5 all the way across the board now. Almost a run, full run. It's come under. Why? That's sharp money. Guys, it's sharp money because the majority of the money, the public money, is on the over. It's always going to be on the over in Toronto, in this Buffalo stadium, as it was in in the AAA Farm Club there in Florida. Under, if you can get a 9, and there's still a 9 out there, a couple of them under 9. Cole, Stripling, Yankees, Blue Jays. The Yankees can't hit the damn ball. That may be 8-0 Toronto. We'll still be the winners. And please tap the thing up there in the corner.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, I thought you liked that. All right, so here we go.
Okay, go.
Love it.
I am taking in the PGA. I am taking Rory McIlroy to win at 21-1. I'm taking McIlroy at 4-1 as a top 10, and I'm taking him at plus 188 top 20. I am taking Patrick Reed at 25-1 to win, 450 top 10, 2-1 top 20. And my real favorite one is Terrell Hatton, 40-1 to win, 6-1 top 10, 3-1 top 20.
That's a lot of bets. That's a lot of free bets, John.
Yeah, but it's pizza money, and it's big odds.
It's a lot of pizza.
And I think that is it. And if there is a bet that DeChambeau does not make the cut, I will put pizza money on that.
How come you guys have such a hard on DeChambeau?
I don't. The guys in the chat room that follow us do, but I don't think his court suits him in the least.
Why do you guys have such a hard on for DeChambeau? Because the name is quite, if it was a burlesque and it was a girl, that's kind of a sexy name, DeChambeau.
Yeah, the one guy hates him.
Yeah, he calls him meathead.
Yeah,
but this course, I could be dead wrong, but the course, you heard Nick say it, the Kikuyu rough is not Wingfoot rough, and Wingfoot rough was bad, but it's ryegrass. It's a little bit easier to get the club through. It's still hard. You have to be strong, but this Kikuyu turns your club face no matter who you are. Just ask Tiger Woods.
How strong do you have to be to reach down, grab that damn ball, and play winter rules and throw it in the fairway?
You're not allowed to do winter rules because we're playing in June now. It's summer. You're not allowed to touch the ball.
Oh, damn it! Well, I wouldn't be very good at then.
Oh, and I'll take Morikawa matchup against Spieth. Head to head, I think it's minus 110 now. And I don't think Spieth makes the cut either.
Jazz.
But McIlroy's flying under the radar, and he's a pretty damn good golfer.
How does a McIlroy fly under the radar? That's the equivalent of Rob Vino flying under the radar of NBA cappers. It's not possible.
Yeah, it is.
John?
I don't know, but McIlroy missed the cut at the Players. He's been either really, really good or he's been really, really bad.
And I'm just throwing this. I'm just throwing it out at you because I think it's a good question because everyone knows if you're any kind of golf fan, you know who Roy McIlroy is.
Yes.
Right, but he's flying under the radar because there's so many great golfers and the field is so deep.
But to
like imagine an NBA with 20. I don't want to say LeBron anymore, but because he takes too many fake fouls. John Rahm.
Use Ben Simmons as an example.
Can you imagine the crying that would have gone on if you switch those people around? John Rahm gets disqualified because he has COVID and has no chance to win the $1.6 million that he would have won for 4 days of work.
And what happened?
The golfers don't cry about
some of these NBA players. How much bitching do you think there would have been?
This Denver team, they would spend. They're horrible criers. I've never seen so much crying in my entire life as the Joker. The Joker may be one of the worst on the planet, But
I invested in Boise Cascade because of it.
Really?
Is that a paper company?
Because of all the crying, yeah. Boise Cascade makes all the paper tissues. Products and
tissues.
All those
tissues
in Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay. Put a couple bucks on that for me too, will you? I'll send you checks in the mail.
Well, it's Steve Merrill's money, so he won't care.
If it's Steve Merrill's money, well, it won't be enough to go around. So forget it. Hi, Steve.
Yep. So, guys, thanks for being on the show. It's another great show. The three of us, we have good guests.
5.
And somehow we managed to get the train into the station, maybe a little bit late, but on the rails. So for Rob Vino, Tony Finn, myself, I want you guys to have a great night, highly profitable. Good luck to all of you. And to send into the chat room and bet with your head, not over it. Don't do anything stupid, like drink mezcal and mushrooms and then go to a casino. Don't do that. For sportsmemo.com, the Predictive Playbook, and WagerTalk.com, may all the wins be absolutely yours.